cards is a lifestyle. Sports cards and we live now. Jeremy Lee in the building and every guest that you ever needed. Sports cards after hours keep the hobby heated. Updates, hobby talk like you never seen it. Sports cards live and none could ever beat it. Sports cards is a lifestyle. Sports cards and we live now. Welcome to another episode of Sports Cards Live with your host, Jeremy Lee.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to episode number 305 of Sports Cards Live. It is Saturday night, March the 14th, 2026. My name is Jeremy Lee, and a few quick opening announcements before we dive in. Tomorrow night here on the channel, Fanatics Weekly Auction Ending Watch Party is back. Later on tonight, Leighton Sheldon will be joining us, but if you want to sell a vintage collection, reach out to Leighton at Just Collect. He offers competitive and transparent valuation and payment processes. Would love to speak with you, Leighton at justcollect.com. Guys, Mint Inc. delivers the ultimate hobby experience from live whatnot streams and auctions to grading, breaks, and 2 full retail stores, including the newly opened Ajax location in the Greater Toronto area. They do it all, and they're buying collections 7 days a week. Click the link in the description below. Use promo code SCL5 for 5% off your first purchase. Shop online anytime with worldwide shipping. Mint Inc., where collecting comes to life. The next episode of From the Front Row with Dan Bliss of the Front Row Card Show is going to be 2 days from now here on Monday, March 16th at 7 p.m. Pacific on Sports Cards Live. We'll be having a vendor guest, Bob Watson from Fly Ball Drive, join the show. We will be playing another game of Keep Release, and we will be giving away a pair of VIP tickets to their inaugural 400-table show in Atlanta at the end of this month, March 28th and 29th. So tune in. Also watch my Instagram account for a second giveaway for a pair of VIP tickets for the Atlanta show. And don't forget, just 2 weeks later is the Seattle-Tacoma 480-table show, April 11th, 12th. Visit frontrowcardshow.com for more show dates and locations. And CIA Auctions, guys, CIA Auctions, March auction ends tomorrow, March the 15th. We will be looking at some of the cards at auction a little bit later in this show tonight. Visit collectorinvestorauctions.com to register and bid for this auction and all their upcoming monthly auctions. And guys, grading is expensive, ties up your time, money, and assets. Get it right with Mr. Minty. Mr. Minty offers a full line of 100% substance-free. Let me repeat, 100% substance-free, pre-grading supplies, grade preparation and evaluation services, concierge drop-off for PSA and BGS, all designed to help collectors save time and money in the expensive grading process. You can meet Mr. Minty in person at most of the shows across the country. For more information, go to mrminty.com. Save 25% off products using promo code SCL for Sports Cards Live. SCL 25. Keep collecting and keep it minty. And guys, last one before we get started. My good friends at Chronosio. I like these guys a lot, guys. Check out Chronosio. They are the AI-powered collection assistant that allows boxes and boxes of cards to be scanned, documented, and listed for sale in just minutes. It works with sports cards, TCG cards, slabs, and raw cardboard as well. There's 2 bundles available on Walmart.com, eBay, Amazon, as well as certain hobby stores. The first one is the Pro Bundle. It comes with the software, a Ricoh 8170 stack feeder scanner, shipping supplies. It's perfect for someone who has thousands of raw cards, unlimited inventory management, 3,600 monthly AI card documentation jobs, and management of 3,600 eBay listings. The other one is the regular bundle. It is similar, but has a Canon flatbed scanner, is best for slabs, as well as people with hundreds of raw cards. Also unlimited inventory management, 1,200 monthly AI card documentation jobs, and management of 1,200 eBay listings. The Chronosio Cards to Cash bundles not only include the scanner software and supplies, but also, this is really cool, guys, a 1-hour one-on-one enablement session at the time of your choosing. Simply visit chronosio.com/booking. It's a huge part of the value. Not only does Chronosio work with you to get up and running, but they're always there to help you manage their cards and sell them online. Whether you're a collector or a hobby store looking to expand your business, go to chronosio.com to learn more. All right, guys, let's bring out my guy from Santa Cruz, California, Mr. Joe Poirot. Buddy, how are you? Welcome back. What's going on?
Oh, nothing much. Just happy to be here on a Saturday night. Great to see everybody in the chat. And I always look forward, to us coming together on a Saturday night and just, it feels like we're connecting with friends, new friends, old friends, esteemed colleagues and guests, and talk a little story, chop it up. Let's go.
Let's go. I want to let everybody know who did order a copy of Pops and Comps directly from me. They've all been shipped now. Last one shipped out the day before yesterday. So they're all on the way. If anybody would like to order a copy direct from me, you can reach out to me. Here it is. I can sign them and send them off. So thank you to everybody who's done that so far. Joe, I was at Burbank Sports Cards on Tuesday for the book signing. Had a great time. A few people in the chat I want to just say thank you to. I want to start with Laura. Laura, who's been in the chat for quite some time. She came out. She was there when I got there, sitting at the table. Who's she sitting with? None other than Mike Petty. It was great to see Mike as well. And Laura gave me a gift. She gave me a little stack of some cards here, including a Luka rookie and a couple of Timu Solani cards. But my favorite one, I don't think was any surprise to her, was this Upper Deck Ultimate Collection dual patch of Pedro Martinez and Manny Ramirez. So that's going to go right into my baseball memorabilia collection. So I was so happy with that. So nice and grateful. And it was such a pleasure to meet Laura, who's been here in the chat for so long. So Laura, thank you so much. I was so happy to meet you, and thank you for coming and hanging out with us there. That was just great. Mike Petty, of course, who I mentioned, Foul Ball, whose name is also Jeremy. He came and hung out for a while. Fresh Prince was there. Steve, he came by. A few others. David Chase, who will join the show later. California Dave from the Hockey Cards Gong Show. I want to shout him out. It was a lot of fun. And the team at Burbank, Daniel, Sam, Ryan, and Rob, I want to thank them for hosting me. It was great. And then Joe went to the basketball game that night. And what, some people said to me, "Oh, I'm sorry LeBron didn't play. I know you were excited to see LeBron, but you did get to see Luka score a triple-double. And, Anthony Edwards didn't really have a great game, but you got to see that, got to see him." Well, it was funny because the next morning, whoever said to me it was a triple-double for Luke, I'm like, well, that was news to me because we were in a suite that was pretty high up. It's like I could see the game, but I didn't really watch the game. We were at a party at 12 and having some fun. So I wouldn't say that I really watched the game closely at all, but I had a great time. So for you, who's been to several games, you're a big Warriors fan. I mean, I didn't really get that watch the game experience, but I had a great experience nonetheless. I think sit lower down. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, NBA getting close to the court, hearing the sneakers is always great. But what I was going to ask you was, there's a lot going on in LA, right? LA's got just, there's a lot of flavor. Did you see the statues coming in? Did you get to see the Kobe and I think Shaq? Because they have some pretty big statues there out in front of the arena.
I did. So my buddy who hosted me at the basketball game, he came by Burbank he's a card collector. His name is Sim Sarna. He owns Cloud 10, the podcast network, which Sports Cards Live podcast lives on. So he came by, and then we went to his office where he's got a podcast studio. He has a bunch of his card collection there, which he showed me. We looked at for a couple hours. He gifted me a card as well, which is a really cool gift and card because it's a full circle thing. But he gifted me this 2021 Metal Universe Wayne Gretzky Rubies card out of 100, which is really cool in hand. It's got this 99 jersey from a game that they played during the lockout, I believe, but it's really cool. And the reason why it was a full circle moment was because if you go back about 3 or 4 years to one of the early Burbank shows, I was at a booth at one of these Burbank shows, and I see this card in there, and the guy standing next to me also sees the card. He says to the kid behind the table, "How much is that Gretzky card?" And the kid goes, "Well, my dad's not here, but he'll be right back." Well, this guy walks away. The dad comes back. I say, "Oh, hey, how much is that card right there?" He goes, "It's $100. I go, "Okay, well, before I buy it, 1 second. I walk 2 booths down. I see this guy. I go, "Hey, the dad came back. The card's $100. If you don't want to buy it, I'll buy it. But I heard you ask for it first, so I'll give you dibs. If you want it, go ahead and buy it." You may have heard me tell the story before.
I remember.
So he goes, "Yeah, I'll buy it." He comes back and buys the card. And that started this relationship between me and his name is Sim Sarna. He owns Cloud 10. He's got some big names on his podcast network. this one being probably the smallest name on here at Sports Card Live. But so he gifted me the card back just the other day, and I thought that was so thoughtful of him. And
full circle moment.
Full circle moment. It was really cool.
And that just goes to show, you know, this hobby is ultimately, it feels like this big, massive space, but it's actually pretty small, and people know each other, and what goes around comes around. So good karma for you. You know, it's funny. There's a card you might show a little bit later, and I'm gonna go a little impromptu here, Jay Lee. I didn't tell you about this, but you know, I'm on Fanatics a lot, and Fanatics has a partnership with Burbank Cards. And something happened about 3 weeks ago. I think it was, the U.S. won a gold medal. And I don't want to start any riots here on Sports Cards Live. I know the Canadians have a lot of thoughts, but I got this in the mail. It's an exquisite Connor Hellebuck from, it actually had Ryan Veris's name. It was sent directly from Burbank. And just a sweet card. This is my, you know, I don't have that many hockey cards, but this is my memento from the U.S., bringing home the gold medal. We don't have to get into that, but I know you have an exquisite card that you might show in a little bit. I just wanted everybody to see I do have a hockey card, or 3 maybe.
That's awesome. No, Connor Hellebuck, I mean, he won the gold medal for the Americans for the most part. He kept Canada off the board. So he's been the best goaltender in the NHL for several years now. So nice pickup. You mentioned the statue, so I did take a bunch there. You know, there's me and Wayne Gretzky, and that's.
I didn't know they had a Gretzky statue.
Oh yeah, there's a Gretzky. There's Jerry West. There's Shaq. He's hanging off the rim. There's Magic.
Awesome.
That's Kareem. There's me and Kareem. That's me. That's Kobe. There was a lineup at Kobe. Kobe was the only statue there that had a lineup of people to take pictures. There's me and Luc Robitaille. That's Dustin Brown, an old captain of and that's where I sat. Like, you can see how far away I was from the game. Like, that's me and the game. Yeah, I could see it, but I could not read numbers on jerseys. Like, it was tough. This is Sim who hosted me at the game. We had a great time. We had a good group of people there. It was just a lot of fun. One of the guys in our group was this guy here. His name is Craig Kilborn. He used to have a late night show, I think before Jon Stewart did. So he was part of our group. He was just a nice guy. It was a ton of fun, man. So yeah.
Can I ask you a question about the book signing?
Yeah, please.
So, like, are you starting to think about inscriptions? Like, obviously you probably try and personalize things if you know somebody, but are you starting to, like, you know, get a little, you know, best of luck in your collecting journey or something like that? Do you have any like go-to inscriptions?
Yeah, I do. Well, every book that I've sold directly to people that have ordered from me and asked me to sign it. One person asked me not to sign it, but I signed it, and I kind of wasn't thinking. So sorry to that person. But I mean, on all of them, I try to say something personal, and then then my kind of go-to is sports cards as a lifestyle, and I sign. You know, yeah, that's kind of
there. You go.
That's kind of the go-to for that. And then really exciting. This is something that I'll let people know, especially everybody who watches me and Adam do the Fanatics premiere auction watch party. It's coming up on Thursday, but for the first time, we will be doing the show live from New York City. Adam and I are going to New York to the Fanatics studio. I'm flying out Wednesday, LA last week, or this past week, New York next week. We'll be there streaming the show from the Fanatics studio on Thursday. Joe Davis, who is the play-by-play announcer for the Dodgers, he was the successor to Vin Scully. He is the go-to announcer for the World Series and the MLB All-Star games. He will be joining us on the stage as part of the live stream. So Fanatics is really excited about this upcoming premiere auction with the dual MVP gold MLB logo man of Shohei and Aaron Judge. So yeah, gonna go to New York and do a show. It's weird. I feel like, what am I going to Broadway here to do a show? Come on, I do these out of my house. So
now I'm getting jelly. And you and Adam do such a great job, and to like have it kicked up a notch in that kind of environment with all the big wigs around you. I super looking forward to that. And I got a couple premier auctions on my watch list. My war chest is empty, but there's one or two that, maybe in the bottom part of the pool, the shallow end of the pool, that I'll just keep my eye on.
There's some nice cards. It's 360 items, I believe. But yeah, it'll be interesting. We'll be using sort of a different streaming environment. So we're going to have a bit of a dry run, but we'll see how that goes. So invite everybody Thursday night here on the channel to watch that. It'll be a bit of I won't be in this room, so we'll see how that goes.
That's awesome. And so Adam gets to go out into the world. That's like, because he's a family man. I know, I mean, I don't know Adam that well, but I know that he's very dedicated to his family, and he's often just sort of, streaming from where he is. So that's great that he gets to get out there. I look forward to seeing you. I want some action shots too, not just the live stream. I want a few like IG posts of you guys around and about Manhattan or wherever the heck you are.
No, I hear you. Yeah, well, we're not even going live till 8 p.m. Eastern, and we're going to go for about 5 hours. It's going to be a late night, but excited to do that and get out to New York and for about 2 days. So, hey, before we say hi to the chat, why don't we look at this card I bought last week?
Let's do it.
You just mentioned it. And so I did buy a card on the Fanatics Weekly. For those of you who don't know, many of you do, but I do a Fanatics weekly auction ending watch party about 3 times a month here on the channel. And we did it this past Sunday. And I bought a card, which sometimes I do. And the funny thing, Joe, was I actually bought this card, like streaming myself bidding and talking about it. Somebody in the chat was like, "Are you working against yourself, showing everybody what you're bidding on and how much you're bidding?" So I even like showed it all. Probably wasn't the smartest thing, but hopefully nobody did try to bid me up. But hey, if you did, you might have shielded me with some success there, but I didn't have to bid too much more than I started bidding at. So but this is a fun card. It's a card that I bought not because I wanted it for my personal collection. It was a card I bought. I just thought it was too cheap, and that's why I picked it up. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You see an opportunity to buy something, you do. I do like the card. I like the set it's from. I think it's a card of the player who's like the second best historically at his position, which I thought was, and it's a 1 of 1 from what is probably the best brand in the whole hobby. So should I share it? Let me show it. Let me show you guys what I picked up. We'll get Joe's thoughts on it. So here it comes. And there it is. It is an exquisite Randy Moss 1 of 1 patch card. That's what it is. 1 of 1 exquisite. Hall of Famer, second best running back or wide receiver of all time. I thought it was just too good of a deal, Joe. And after, I didn't really know. I didn't check any comps. I still haven't checked comps. I mean, it's a 1 of 1. But I didn't check anything. I don't even want to know what this card might have sold for in the past. But I shared it with you later that night. I believe we were on having a chat. And what did you think of the purchase?
Well, I was listening to you because I was also sort of in my own little bidding mode that night. And so I heard you mention it. And I was like, when you mentioned it, I have roots with the Oakland Raiders. So seeing that uniform, I was tempted, but I was like, well, Jay Lee's on it. And, friends don't bid on friends' cards or, at least I wouldn't do that to you, knowing that you maybe had an eye on it. But I love it. I love that 1 of 1 on the side there. I think exquisite. This is a great example of marrying, a high-end, GOAT level player. I mean, I'd say maybe Moss is 1 below. Obviously he's not Jerry Rice, but he is, top 3 wide receiver of all time, I would say, and maybe second. And then you throw the exquisite brand into play. And so you're marrying, high level brand with high level player. And, we don't need to get into like all the economics of it, but I think it was there. I mean, I think sometimes that happens in the hobby where you just see an opportunity and it's kind of like, on the one, I like the card and I'm probably gonna, create some equity here down the line, whether I keep it, whether I don't, it's a trading chip. It's something that so much will be desirous of down the road. So awesome.
Yeah. We'll see. I'm in no rush to do anything with it. We'll let it sit still in the collection for a little while, but all right. Well, appreciate the comments. Let's go through some comments from the chat and say hello to everybody. I'm going to start from the bottom. Bystander says straight cash, homie. All right, like that. Chris says better than Jamarcus for sure. E. Young likes the card. I appreciate it. Yankees fan, go Raiders. Dan Brown says Randy Moss on the Raiders was a disaster. Chris says Mama should have named him Pete. Pete Moss. Good evening, Frank Gustella. Kinger, good evening. Shaheen says Moss is at least 50% of my Vikings PC. NL says great card. So does Michael Raider. I wish it was Vikings too. JB Hats. Goodness gracious, quite the build-up for that. He doesn't like it. This guy does not approve of my purchase. That's awesome. Rage loves it. Thank you, Rage. I appreciate that. Boo Raiders jersey. Yeah, I get it. We've got Chris C. Congrats on New York. I appreciate that so much. Thank you, Rage. Everybody, quick announcement. Rage is in the building, everybody. Congrats, Jeremy, on the invite to New York City. Thank you, Vintage Collector. I appreciate it. I'm not really enjoying going from the bottom, so I'm going to go to the top and start from there because I feel like I'm behind in the conversation. Kevin Hawthorne, good evening. Carl from Oz is here. There's Laura, my new friend who I got to meet at Burbank. There's Brian, High Pop Professor. Watch one of your videos today, Brian. Really enjoyed it. Good stuff, my friend. Called Shot Cards. Good evening. There's Foul Ball. Jeremy, what's up, Foul Ball? Rage. Larry Gitlin, E105. Greg Midlife is present. Good evening, my friend. Good evening to you. Shaheen, good evening. Vintage, about to get buried in snow here in Minnesota. Absolutely. Bill Betts, good evening to you. LRO, hello. Rob Starr is here. Good to see you. 003 was at a Chicago show the past 2 days, was packed. Good to hear. Always good to hear. Mike Double V, what's going on? Yes, live from Calgary. It's Saturday night. Good to see you. David Cooey, beginning of another banger. As always, greeting from Muskegon, Michigan. Good evening, David Cooey. Thank you for joining. Yankees fan is here. Orlando is here. As always, Wax Pack Wisdom is here. Good to see you. Way to go, and thank you for showing up. What's up, chat, says NL. Oh, it's so good to see everybody. Curmudgeon is here. We got everybody here tonight. Mike Petty, and another special shout out to Mike Petty and David Chase. These guys took care of me during the book signing. You know, I was busy talking to people. They're bringing me pizza. They're bringing me dessert. They're bringing me a drink. I mean, and, you know, Mike Petty was just so gracious. Not only was he gracious with me, he was gracious with everyone else that was there visiting and chatting. And he was kind of like a co-host in a way. It was just awesome. So thank you so much, Mike Petty, and David Chase, and again, everybody, Jeremy, Foul Ball, who came just for coming and hanging out. I had a really good time with all you guys. So thank you. Skeppy, I'm wearing the Chronosio t-shirt tonight. Great channel sponsor and partner. Thank you, everybody. For E105, glad to hear about the book. Look for it. Yeah, it's on its way. Yes, I got the Pedro Petty. You saw it. Laura is busted. Absolutely. What's up, MG? David Chase. Joe, you crushed it on Dylan's show this week. I watched that too. You did crush it. Always good watching the two surfers. Do you have fun? You have fun with Dylan on the show or what?
Absolutely. I mean, we went down a few surfer rabbit holes, and my Wi-Fi was a bit spotty, but other than that, I mean, it was a great show, and I always appreciate collaborating with Dylan. He's so fun.
Absolutely, for sure. 003, Elway had a big line at Chicago. I'm sure he did. No doubt. Chris went to the Forum years ago, but haven't seen the new arena. It's nice. It's a nice building in a nice area, but it wasn't cozy to watch the game. It's very kind of spread out this way versus kind of this way, where you can look down on the playing area. But I had a great time. Like, it was so much fun for sure. And I will definitely want to go back. Petty likes your Connor Hucklebuck card right there. Sundin, nice card. Very good. Lots of you in here. Lots of the chat. Jake Dahl, what's going on? Welcome back. Laura says, for those who haven't ever met Jeremy, he is as tall as those statues. I am pretty tall. What's up, Straight Shooter? David Chase, as Jeremy casually mentions, he was hanging out with stars at the Lakers game. Such a rock star. I mean, it was fun. MG loves Kilborn. Big T. Well, yeah, he was there because it was against Minnesota, so he was invited to the party because it was his team. So he was more focused on the game than I was. That's for sure. It was it was just so much fun. Loves Craig Ferguson too. International Man of Mystery, Jay Leon, Jimmy Fallon. I don't know, but yeah, that would be legendary, wouldn't it? Frank says Kilborn is a legend. He was the OG Daily Show host, and Jon Stewart carries his jock at the game with him. And BD, yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was fun. Chris says Hobby Hotline today was awesome with John Keating as well. I haven't seen John Keating in a while, so good to hear. I didn't watch Hobby Hotline, but good to hear that he was there. All right, I'm just going to we're gonna go now back to the bottom of the comments. Chrissy asks is that my first one of one? No, it's not my first one of one. That random. I got a bunch of one of ones. I have well over 100 one of ones in my collection because these cards you see right here. How am I going to do this? Right here. these ones right here. Those ones right there are all one of ones. I got like 80 of those in my collection, among some others. Oh, Eric Tugg says, super solid Moss purchase, no downside, only large possible upside. I'm happy to hear that. Oh, what's up, Steve? Straight shooter, Steve. Good to see you. Steve as in, which Steve? I mean, there's lots of Steves. Is that Fresh Prince, Steve? I would think you'd be Fresh Prince in here if that was Fresh Prince, Steve, who also came to the book signing, was awesome. Oh, here, it was fine. You built it up like it was a 52 mantle. You gotta have a little bit of intrigue, right? But I knew it would disappoint a few people. That's okay. Not every card's going to be a 52 tops Mickey mantle. Anthony, nice pickup. Jeremy, you can't go wrong with 101. I have a few Jackson Dart 101s. Well, congratulations. Happy to be 101 Card Bros with you, for sure. David Chase, paid for the day. Good evening, Ben Burrows. Good to see you, buddy. Vintage, you need to start the premiere auction, and live from New York, it's Sports Cards Live. Ooh, that would be fun. That would be fun for sure. Okay, guys. Well, welcome everybody. This is a lot of fun, and we are okay. Joe. Yeah. We've got Nevin in the background. Nevin's going to be joining us in just a couple of minutes, guys. I'm excited to bring Nevin on. He's a local collector. I've known him since I really moved here about 20 years ago. We've seen each other at the shows. He's a great collector. He built up a 1966 Topps hockey set, 132 card set, number 16. What's that?
A great year, a year that I owe my birth to.
Oh, I owe my birth to the year. Yeah. But he built this set. He's going to tell us a story about building it. Number 16 on the PSA Set Registry, but he's taking it down now, and it's offered for sale. So we're gonna have a look at a few of the cards and help get some attention on these cards for him, because it's a great set and some beautiful cards, including the iconic Bobby Orr rookie card. Before we do that, though, Joe, anything else on your mind, chat? Anything else from you guys before? But I'll start with you, Joe. Then we'll go to comments, and we'll bring Nevin on the show.
Yeah, I think I'm super stoked about your opportunity to go to New York. I think that's going to be a lot of fun for all of us to sort of share vicariously. A lot of stuff. I feel like there was this boomerang back to the East Coast after the West Coast card show. Now there's some East Coast card shows, and everybody's expressing how vibrant, how bustling, how much action is happening, which I think is just really healthy. So, my assessment right now is the hobby is in a great place. There's always little drama here and there, but I would just invite everybody to kind of keep their eye on the parts of the hobby that are working for them, the parts that are giving them fulfillment and joy. And, that's what we're in it for, right? That we're not here to like have conflict or, feel like we're victims or in some way. Like, we're here to have fun. So let's have fun and enjoy each other, enjoy our cards, and onward forward.
All right, well said, buddy. We are not here for conflict. We are here to enjoy the hobby with the community and have fun and be productive if we can be. So great comments there, Joe. I appreciate that. And let's say hello to a few more people in the chat before we bring on our next guest. Straight Shooter says, Steve, that's seen you at Atlantic City National, different screen name. Okay, Steve, well, good to see you again, for sure. Although I got to tell you, there's so many Steves, and the Atlantic City National was a couple of years ago already, 3 Nationals ago. But I'm glad you're here, buddy. Ray from Philly. Good evening, Ray from Philly. Let's go, Jordan. The Sports Card Spectacular in Chicago was fun. Good to hear. Chrissy, I'm watching Sports Cards live in a van down by the river. That's good. That's good. Eric says, y'all, we're going to be commenting on the Golden Elite. Probably not tonight. Action-packed show, but maybe we'll bring it up a little bit later. Eric, we will see Chad Shipper. Good evening to you. Celebrini was on fire tonight, as he was. I saw one of his goals earlier. Eric Young, or E. Young, feels like every local show I attend is packed and a ton of buying, selling going on. Yeah, that's what's going on. Yeah, we are missing Mr. Boozle. Chris, hopefully Boozle will show up soon. And Anthony, I can't find a 71 Astros team card. Well, good luck to you, Anthony. Preach, Joe. This is fulfillment and enjoy, says Laura. And Southern Collector Tony says, Joe, louder for the people in the back. Well, yeah. I mean, hey. All right. Joe, we are going to bring Nevin on and talk some 1966 top. But guys, I want you to meet this guy and just sort of let's hear his story. Let's get to know the collecting background from him. Joe is 100% hobby positivity, says Chris. He certainly is. All right, guys. I'm now going to mark my spot in the comments. Nevin, give me a thumbs up if you are ready to go, sir. He's given me 2 thumbs up. Here we go, everybody. Please welcome Nevin Burn to Sports Cards Live for the first time. Nevin, welcome. How are you, my friend?
Hi, Jeremy. Good. How are you?
Doing well. Say hello to Joe. Joe, say hello to Nevin.
Hi, Joe.
What's up, Nevin? Good to have you here, man.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. And I know we're heading into the land of 1966, which has a special place in my heart because I am a 1966 baby. And so looking forward to seeing you unveil a collection that I'm sure amounted to a lot of blood, sweat, and tears as you put it together. And as I'm hearing, maybe it's time to say goodbye. But in any case, anytime we have that level of connection with a set, you probably know that set inside and out in ways that other people just can't understand. So I'm really looking forward to this segment and hearing some insights on your collecting.
Well, I'm glad to hear there's another fella in the same era when I was born, so that makes me feel better.
and there's plenty in the chat too, Nevin. Don't you worry. Oh yeah. A lot of great vintage collectors who've been collecting for decades are in here with us right now. So I'm sure excited to hear your story and get to know another collecting journey. But why don't you let us know a little bit about, as we've talked about, we've seen each other locally on the scene here for about 20 years. We've been talking more over the past several years. But what is your collecting journey? When did you start? What did you collect? And kind of what brings you to this era we're in today?
Well, I mean, I grew up in Toronto back in the early 70s. And I think my youngest memory is my dad had a neighbor who he knew somebody in the Toronto Maple Leafs organization. And he said, I want to take your son to Maple Leaf Gardens for a pregame warm-up between the Chicago Blackhawks and Toronto Maple Leafs. And I remember going there. I don't remember a lot about the warm-up, but I remember him taking me and meeting some of the players afterwards. And I had these little white, my name is hello card stickers. And I still have them from this is from 1972. And I got to meet Tony Esposito and Bobby Hull, Dennis Hull. I got Daryl Sittler. I mean, it's amazing that I got to meet and get their autographs. So that was kind of the initial thing that got me interested. And, we used to watch a lot of hockey games on Hockey Night in Canada back in when you lived in Toronto. And then we used to also go to the store and we would buy a lot of packs, wax packs, and we'd open them up and we'd eat the gum and we'd play games with the cards. We'd throw them up against the wall and put them in the spokes of our bike. It wouldn't make us go any faster, but it sure sounded good. And then, I went from there.
Yeah. And so you started building this 1966 top set, but you're also a modern collector. I mean, you've also built full sets of Upper Decks, the Cup, the rookie patch auto sets. You built those with very nice patches. Your 2007-08 Cup set is also being sold right now, along with your 1966 top set. So it's kind of two totally different eras, right? Of vintage, a simple board. number 16 on the PSA Set Registry, and then a modern day RPA set with the rookie cards of the likes of Jonathan Taves, Patrick Kane, highest scoring American-born player of all time, Carey Price, among others, a beautiful Tuukka Rask. A lot of the cards that you're selling from that set are all top patch cards from the set, which is incredible itself. And guys, if anybody wants to see any of these cards, they are listed right now on eBay, on Slab Sharks, and Nevin has chose that as the venue to sell his collection. How did you go, Nevin, from collecting a vintage set like 66 Tops to a modern set like the Cup and the RPAs? Have you always been a rookie card collector, a set collector?
Well, I always liked OPG cards, you know, just from when I was a kid. And then when I kind of got into it, when in the 90s there, I started opening packs from, you know, just like everybody else did back then. But I always wanted to put together OPG sets, and I always liked building sets. And I got that goal done. I tried to get a set from 68 to 90, get that set done, or those sets done. And then, in, I don't know, 2010 or whatever, I got into cup sets and started building those. But I'd also always been a big Bobby Orr fan. And so I had bought the Bobby Orr rookie because that was always a card that I wanted to have. And so I had it for many, many years. And then I just thought it'd be cool to put the set together.
Is the Bobby Orr that is in the set, which is a high graded copy, is that the original Bobby Orr? Is that like the first Bobby Orr you ever owned? Yeah.
I bought that in, I think it was like 03 or 04, somewhere around there.
You know, I remember like you growing up, I'm a little bit younger than you, growing up in the 80s and going into card shops in Winnipeg where I grew up. And there was like one Bobby Orr rookie card in the whole city that I was aware of. It sat on the shelf at a store called Superstars. It was behind the counter, behind glass. It was $3,000, I remember. And I thought, my gosh, $3,000 for a card. That was like all the money in the world at the time. And it was so elusive, not so hard to find one nowadays with, you know, the global economy, the internet and everything. But like you, that was a card I always wanted. And lucky to have one now, not the first one I've had. I actually traded up by trading down. I used to have a copy in a PSA 8 holder, but then I picked up a beautiful copy in a PSA 5.5, which was nicer than the 8. So I sold the 8 and kept the 5.5. But you have a great copy that is, well, it's not yours anymore. It's yours until, I guess, this coming Thursday it won't be yours anymore. Yeah.
Well, you know, I've got 2 daughters, and one of them's getting married here in the next year. And I just thought it was time. It was kind of, you know, I kind of got into collecting cards that I knew someday down the road that, you know, hopefully they would increase in value and that I would use them for, you know, things like my daughter's wedding type of thing.
Is that why you made the decision to sell these cards? And are you selling your whole collection, or are you holding?
No.
I asked that. I see binders behind you. They look like sports card binders. Are those sports card binders just there above?
Oh, yeah. Well, I have, like, I do have a set from 68 all right to 90 of every OPG set, insert, wrappers, like, pretty much everything.
Oh yeah, you like the wrappers too. We talked about that. And, you know, I love collecting unopened packs. Do you do unopened packs?
I had a 68 9-pack that I sold back about 5 years ago.
That's an impossible pack. That's the first year of OPG hockey, 1968-69. And that's incredible. Do you do packs anymore?
No.
So,
no, I have a bad weakness for opening them.
Joe, do you do unopened packs at all? Wrappers? Do you have anything like that in your collection?
Not really, no, but I love seeing them. I love kind of reacquainting the memory banks with like something that I might have opened or seen along the way. So yeah, I appreciate it.
Right on. So Nevin, besides the sets of OPG hockey that are kind of in that room with you right now, do you have any other RPA sets? Was 07, 08 the only year you did? Are you hanging on to anything else that is really exciting, or are you just selling enough this month here to kind of help cover your daughter's wedding and contribute to that?
Well, initially my goal was to have every cup set from 05-06 on. And I got there with the exception of I didn't have 9, 10. And then I stopped at, I think 13, 14 for some reason. It got to be too much. And I sold my 056 back in 2021 when things were kind of going crazy.
The Crosby and Ovechkin year.
Yeah, I had the Ovechkin and the Crosby 8.5s in each. And that was a fun set to sell back then.
Yeah. And do you miss it? Do you miss that set? Or how are you? You do.
Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit.
Well, at the time, I remember putting it together thinking, oh my God, because I think I paid like $8,000 for the Crosby and $6,000 for the Ovechkin. And I was thinking, oh my God, this is ridiculous. And, but anyway, so it ended up, obviously they went, for a lot more than that when I sold them. So, but it was sad to see them go.
So let's shift to the 66 Tops, Bobby Orr, which really anchors the set. You've been collecting the set for over 20 years. It's no longer in your possession. How does that, how does it feel since you actually passed that set off to me as your rep with Slab Sharks? How did it feel how does it feel when you don't have that set anymore? Are you okay? Have you come to terms with that? Where are you at psychologically? And I ask because we are all collectors, Joe, myself, and the people in the chat. And, we all have, not all of us, some people have never moved a card in their lives, and kudos to them. But many of us watching, listening, have sold cards, and we all, I think, have different degrees of seller's remorse from 0 to 100, let's say. Where do you fall with that? How do you feel emotionally, mentally about giving up the 66 Top set?
I mean, it was tough because I really like that set. I bought that Orr. I had that Orr card for many years, and then I had the opportunity to buy like a bunch of the rest of the set because I wanted to put the set together from a fellow. And then I just kind of took that and I upgraded to where I got it to. And I was surprised, and actually it was from you suggesting putting it on the PSA registry, and it came up at number 16 set. So I was quite happy about that. But it's just one of those things that I thought it was the time. I retired a few years ago, and I think I'm more of a seller now because I wasn't for 30 years. I was a buyer. I've only been in the last probably 5 years I've been a seller, just because I'm getting to that point.
Yeah. Well, yeah. If you're ready, I'm just for people listening, I'm now flashing the cards from the set on the screen, and there's the Johnny Bower and a PSA 8 holder. Looks to be a beautiful card. The Terry Sawchuk in a PSA 7 holder. Look at the centering on that one. How much attention, Nevin, when you were building the set, did you put on centering?
Oh yeah, that was big. I mean, to me, I've always tried to. The minimum for me was PSA 7 was kind of the minimum that I tried to attain. And then if I could go from there, and then centering was huge. Like, obviously building some of these OPG sets, especially from like 74.5, 75.6. I mean, the centering on those cards is terrible, so to find them centered to me that's part of the whole,
This one, this Rod Gilbert is not centered. I'll show that one right now. This PSA 6. That might be the most off-center one I've seen so far. As we're
some of these cards are tough. Like it's hard to find some of these cards in really nice shape.
The Jean Rattel has a bit of a centering issue there, but I mean, some of these, as I'm going through them, and I don't want to interrupt you all the time, but some of the centering on these cards, like this one here, this Joe, it's spectacular. Yeah, it's this Bob Wojtowicz. It's beautiful. There's the Bobby Orr, everybody, in a PSA 7 holder with exceptionally sharp image. Edges are nice. Corners are 7 corners. It's off centered to the left a little bit. You can see that kind of this break in the wood grain here. How much did you love this card, Nevin? And did you buy it raw and grade it yourself?
No, I bought it graded. It was, I was super excited when I bought that card back 20 years ago. Really, that was one of my big back then anyways, big purchases.
Let's go. Jordan says that Orr looks 13 years old. Absolutely. Rob Starr says that the 66s are impossible in 8 or higher. Orlando says beautiful cards. We have some more comments as well coming through, but let's let's just run through a few more. This is the
There's
big
only
card
one
news.
9, right? There's only one 9, PSA 9. That's it.
And I think there's only one 8.5, maybe.
Yeah.
And then there's like 45 8s.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot higher graded than that one there. And I'm just going to kind of let you guys have a look at these as I sort of whip through them, because there are some. I want to get to the checklist. I think the first checklist is number 66. I want to show
that is a crazy card to find in high PSA. Like I've looked for years to find. I bid on a couple 7s and I lost out on them, but
look, Nikita is perfectly centered right there. Well,
yeah, that's
side
really
to side,
nice
maybe a hair low, but side to side, just perfect.
Yeah.
There's a Phil Esposito. There's the Bobby Hall. What a handsome guy. Number 65. And there's the checklist. I love these checklists with the little hockey character on them.
Yeah.
It's just and this is an unchecked checklists are tough to find from back in the day.
Number 66 is the other one. The 120 is there's more of those out there, but the 66, because I think it's got Orr's name on it, is a lot harder.
Oh, so right. People who are like completionists, master collectors. They want cards of their players where their names are on the checklist. Look at that.
Exactly.
Frank Mahovlich. Just beautiful. Wow. The Dave Keon. I mean, I'm mostly stopping to all the non-hockey people out there. I'm mostly stopping and calling out the Hall of Famers, like Dave Keon, one of the greatest Toronto Maple Leafs of all time. Red Kelly.
There's so many Hall of Famers in that set. It's crazy.
There's Tim Horton. Everyone's heard of Tim Horton. That's what he looked like, everybody. That might be one of the best pictures of him on a hockey card. His rookie card is like a painting. So is his second-year card, but there he is, Tim Horton right there. Thank you, Tim, for your coffee services to the country.
Big in Canada, that's for sure.
In Canada for sure, and there's several in the U.S. as well, I believe, but mostly in the northern states. I'm just going to kind of whip through. I'll stop if I see a big Hall of Fame name here, but I want to. Oh, there's Alex Del Vecchio. He played with Gordie Howe. Look at the centering on that one. Wow, and that's an 8. That's a PSA 8. That's a beautiful copy right there. Pete Mahovlich. I want to get to some of these are funny. Like look at Murray Hall. Look at the name. The registration not so good there, but still a 7 for other reasons. I'm a registration snob, Nevin. That's the focus is number 1.
You can see it's blurry. Yeah.
And the name there. That happened back in the day. They printing quality wasn't a top priority. There's the Gordie Howe card, everybody, in a PSA 6.5 holder.
Yeah, that's a tough card to find in like 8 condition.
Yeah. There's the Bobby Hull card number 112. There's only 132 cards in the set. So I want to get to, I love these. I love this. That's
a cool card.
It's a cool card. There's Jean Beliveau sitting right in the middle. There's Gump Worsley over there among the rest of the guys. I can't remember exactly. There's John Ferguson. I can pick him out.
Yeah, how many Stanley Cups did those teams win?
Yeah, exactly. That's Yvonne Cornwallier up over there. There's the Stanley Cup that they had won. Really cool card. I have a copy of that in my collection. This one, too, the Detroit Red Wings, who were the Stanley Cup runners-up.
Runner-up.
65, right? How cool is that in 65? Where's Gordie? Oh, there he is. Right there is Gordie Howe in the middle. Very cool. Very cool. There's the other checklist. This is a PSA 7.5. That looks extremely clean to me. Bobby Orr's name must be on the back, but you can see the rest. So, and then they go vertical. And there's a couple bonus pictures in here that you sent me. Yeah, a couple bonuses that you sent me. So these all-star cards all have a puzzle piece on the back. And Nevin sent me those puzzles. So there's one of them. The Stanley Cup is on the back of 2 of the cards. There's Gordie Howe. I like this card up here. I forget who's on the front of it, but to me, this is like an Easter egg Gordie Howe card where you have his head, and this one in the top middle is the Easter egg Bobby Orr card. So
that's cool. The 130. The Bobby Orr is the 130. The Gump Worsley, I think.
The Gump Worsley. So really, really cool stuff there, cool. Nevin. And it'll be interesting to see how these all sell for you in a set break sort of thing live on eBay right now. So if anyone has any questions, you want to know anything about it, you can, reach out to me. I can put you in touch with Nevin if you're looking to purchase any of these. You want to ask him any direct questions. But I think provenance is something in the hobby that is gaining steam as I don't want to say that it really adds value to per se. It might in some cases, but I just like knowing where some cards came from, who previous owners were. And if anyone is already watching some of these on your eBay watch list, now you know who built the set. And to me, like, I'd be bookmarking this video so I can kind of come back. Yeah, that's the guy that built the set that contained these cards I bought, in March of 2026 from the set. So let's go. I want to get Joe's opinion on provenance, and not for value, but for something other than value. I don't know what for. Maybe you can help me articulate it, Joe. What is it that you think and Joe knows me well, Nevin, so I can ask Joe, what do you think I'm trying to express here that I see in understanding where cards came from? Because I know in my own collection, if I get a card from someone that I know who it was, especially if I is a friend of mine, I like the card that much more. And even if I just know whose it was, that's important to me. What do you think's going on there, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, that sort of story behind the card, and kind of recognizing that it was in someone's collection who treasured it, and that it was part of a collection, kind of a labor of love, if you will. And each and every one of those cards probably has a story for Nevin. I mean, if you wanted to reach out to him and ask him about a particular one, there's probably some he bought graded. There's probably some he graded himself. But just kind of knowing that it is that significant, and maybe even knowing that Nevin's selling them for his daughter's wedding has significance. I mean, human beings ultimately are, I think, the most important elements of our lives, the people we love. So I super respect that, that is in the process. It would probably make me feel better about procuring one of those cards, knowing that it was kind of the energy exchange was going in the direction of someone that understandably is an important, deeply, memorable and or loved one. In terms of the set, so where I go is, the 55 Bowman baseball with the TV screens, but obviously that's, this is 11 years later. I found a little bit of a fascination with the different wood tones. Some of the wood tones are more full and some of them are a little lighter. And I was curious, how much of that was specific to each and every card versus how much of that was, maybe just variations of the card. Some of them have a deeper finish in the wood and more dark. So that was a curiosity for me. And then also just the two other points that went through, the hobbies maybe moved a little bit in the direction of people being a little bit less set collecty, but I'd be interested in Nevin's own sort of philosophy on why he was attracted to the completionist model of going all in on a set. And then also horizontal cards sometimes get a bum rap, but aesthetically these cards I think hold up incredibly well as horizontal cards. And I mean, the All-Stars, I see there's a couple vertical ones, but just a fantastic set. And the crowd behind, I don't know that much about hockey players, but I know that when they're in their uniforms, you don't see much of them. So having their face and also the crowd behind and also a little bit of the hockey action going on, I understand why this would become a favorite set of many. And even a non-hockey guy like myself, there's so many big ticket names in this set. So awesome. I don't know. I said a bunch there, Nevin. I don't know if you want to respond to any of it or all of it.
Go ahead, Nevin.
Yeah, I mean, for me, condition corners are always a big thing. Grading for me, is a fairly important thing. And I just always I don't know, I guess having the completion of putting together a set. And then I would put together a set and I'd go, wow, look at these cards. They could be better. And just kind of always upgrading and getting it to a point where I'm just happy with it, and that's where I'm happy with it.
I hear it.
You could drive yourself crazy trying to put together the perfect set every time, right?
Nevin, did you grade any of these yourself, as Joe sort of alluded to, or did you buy them all kind of secondary market graded?
No, they were, yeah, like I said, the Orr was graded, and then I came across a fella, I think he was in the US, I can't remember. He had a whole whack of them, like 80% of the set. And I bought that, you know, a lot from him. And they were mostly 7s and 8s. There was a few 6s in there. And then, so I put that together, and then there was some raw cards, and then I had them graded, but they didn't really grade where I wanted them. So I basically bought everything was bought as graded.
Okay, interesting. Now, I found Joe's comments really, you know, his curiosity on the different depths of the wood grain on these cards, which you can notice. I think that speaks to the color, and maybe I don't know if that has to do with how they came out of the packs or how they just aged over the decades. But any thoughts from you on the varying degrees of deepness in the wood grain? Was it something you were paying any attention to, or you were just more about corners and edges mostly?
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously if it was darker, it maybe popped a little bit better, but it was not something that I really focused on.
Yeah.
It was more the grade and the corners and how the card looked.
Right. I think that makes sense to me. And then the other comment that Joe made was about the horizontal nature of the 66 Topps hockey set, except for the All-Stars in the high numbers, which I'm guessing, I mean, even myself as someone who's collected vintage Hall of Fame rookie cards for decades, you know, the Bobby Orr, the Jacques Plante, among several in the world of baseball and football, 57, but football among 56 and 55 baseball, like they never bothered me at all. It wasn't even a thought to me that around their horizontal nature. Joe, what about you? Do you have any sort of issues with that? Even the 51 Bowman and Mays rookies?
Yeah, I think for me, I don't in the vintage realm, because that's the evolution of the hobby. That's what was happening, and those are the opportunities we have to, you know, a 55 Clemente or, you know, a 56 Ted Williams or whatever it might be. In modern though, like I'm a little more cautious. Like, I don't know. I do tend to sort of prefer vertical cards when we get into the ultra modern world. I don't know why. Maybe I've drunk the Kool-Aid of people saying, but it's something about the presentation in the modern world that I lean a little more towards vertical.
How about you, Nevin? Do you have a preference? You've collected all the set. I mean, 68, 69 OPG, the first year of OPG.
I was just going to say, one of the first sets I ever put together was 68-9 OPG. And yeah, all those, I mean, the base cards are all horizontal, right?
Exactly. The whole thing
All-Star
is
cards are vertical, but yeah.
Yeah. No,
I love that. That was one of my favorite sets of all time, that 68-9 OPG set.
Yeah, with the Bernie Parent rookie being the anchor Hall of Fame rookie in that set, and the first real OPG set, even though interestingly, even the 66 Topps set were printed in Canada at the OPG company, but they say Topps, they say printed in Canada, but they do say Topps, which is a bit of a what Joe would maybe refer to as a curiosity. But Bobby Burrell, in his voluminous documentation of sports card history, has addressed that and explained that really well. So thanks to Bobby and his YouTube channel for some great videos over there. Okay, well, we got a bunch of comments here, Nevin, and Joe. So why don't we take a look at some of those? First, Greg's Midlife said that Celebrini is so good. He really is very good. There's no doubt about that. Lots of people talking about the Philly show here in the comments. Original Orlando, the original sticker autographs. I don't know what that's about, Orlando, but I'm curious. Michael Rader says 66 Topps is a very tough set for centering. Number 16 is amazing on the set registry. Congratulations. Set building is a ton of fun, says Chris. Absolutely. Chris says, I cannot see building sets in the last decade at least. Yeah, I don't. I have a couple grandfathered in, but I'm not collecting sets anymore either. Yeah. Are you, Nevin? Are you collecting any sets nowadays? Like other than the old ones?
Not really. I've been kind of playing around with 18, 19 Cup cards, just because I was kind of on a Brady Tkachuk thing going on. But yeah, no, I haven't done that.
Haven't been doing it, huh? Yeah, I hear you. Michael Rader, I'm currently watching a PSA 3 Bobby Orr on eBay right now. It's a sweet card. Absolutely. Double O card, guys. Good evening to you. Anthony says centering seems to be a big issue on many 60s and 70s cards. Centering and registration. They weren't really concerned about it back in the day. Mookie Chilson says, don't forget for a wedding gift, something old, something new, something borrowed, something St. Louis Blues. Very, very nice. Mookie
I'll leave that to my wife.
coming in with the poetry. Absolutely. Let's see what else we got here. Well, Orlando says there are some beautiful cards there. Petty, I can't believe I saw Terry Sawchuk play. Well, Petty, you're old. What do you expect? Of course you've seen him play. Petty's old. He's old. He's the
older than me.
Yeah, he's older than you for sure. Rob Sard made that comment. 66s are impossible in 8 or higher.
Yeah.
Or looks 13. I thought that's pretty funny. Absolutely. The cards are gorgeous, says Chris. Brad says, hello all. Wow, great 56 tops. Gorgeous. He meant 66 tops. Gorgeous
66.
Makita. It really was. Yeah, Anthony, they do remind you of the 55 Bowman baseball, like Joe just mentioned. Mike Petty's calling out Gump Worsley for sure. And Stan Mikita had a cameo in was it Bill? Was it
well, it was in Wayne's World. They were
Wayne's
at Stan
World.
Mikita Donuts.
I
don't know if
say
Stan Mikita was actually in it, but they were at his donut shop.
I was going to say Bill and Ted's Big Adventure for some reason there. I was confused what movie it was in. Yeah. Absolutely. Del Vecchio is still alive. TSB live breaks with $100 tip host here. Wow. Thank you. TSB break says, what's up guys? Love the show. Well, thank you for being here, loving the show, and for the support. Greatly appreciate that. Jeremy from California, I almost choked to death on a Tim Hortons biscuit. What are you doing ordering biscuits? You got to go with the donuts there, Jeremy. But I love Tim Hortons breakfast. I eat it every morning on my way to the expo in Toronto. Where are you at when it comes to Tim Hortons, Nevin? Do you like it food-wise?
Yeah, I don't drink their coffee, but I'll go in for a sandwich or a donut once in a while for sure, yeah.
Why don't you like the coffee? What, you just don't like the taste?
I don't like waiting in line.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Eric here says those cards are so dang clean. Chris, cards should be in a museum. They should be, absolutely. Brad's Vintage says, I'm the one guy who prefers horizontal cards. I love that, Brad, that you do. And I mean, I don't know that I prefer them, but I don't dislike them. I don't dislike them at all. So yeah, what I don't like is when I'm building like a flight from a set and some cards are vertical, some are horizontal. Yeah. It makes them harder to display. But otherwise, I don't really have an issue with them. 00 cards guy, I love horizontal cards. It mimics our field of vision. Absolutely. Michael Rader, where is he selling his cards and when does it start? Michael, they went live on eBay 2 nights ago on Slab Shark's account on eBay. They end this coming Thursday. So I wanted to have them on while they were live in case anybody was interested in learning more about these cards and the man who built the set. Pino Chiappetta, good evening. Welcome. Good to see you. Good to see you. Brad's Vintage says on horizontal cards, the stats and the font and the front are oriented the same, not so much on vertical cards. That's a good point. Rob Starr says vintage hockey sets being smaller can be fun and realistic to complete.
Yeah,
absolutely. This is a good question. This is a question that I helped Nevin with. He says, did you ever consider selling the set as a whole? I commend you for building a set of this impressive magnitude. And he did consider it. I convinced him otherwise. I said, I think you're better off doing a set break. And well, Nevin, you can kind of explain your thoughts because you had your thoughts going in, and then it kind of I convinced you that selling them one card at a time would be the better way. And I think you understood the logic behind that, and I hope I'm right about that, but time will tell.
No, I agree with you.
Yeah. Well, so far. And my reasoning is because if you're working on the set and you need 12 cards, here's a chance to get them. You're out of the running if they're all being sold in a set. Maybe somebody wants the Bobby Orr rookie and that is all they want. Now you have to buy 132 cards. It just makes so much more sense to me to do it that way. Pino says Bobby Orr is the Mickey Mantle of hockey, which I think I don't know if I would give that to Gordie Howe. Let's bring, Nevin, we're going to bring Leighton Sheldon on because he's someone I want to join this discussion and to introduce you to. So Leighton, you get to join the screen. And you're good, Leighton? You're good? Joe, are you good to stick around for a few more minutes?
I probably should mosey on here, but I've really enjoyed this show and tell, and obviously I'll be listening as best I can as I move on into my evening. But Nevin, good luck with the auctions, and thank you for showing your cards on Sports.
Thanks, Joe.
Yep,
Nice to meet
All
you.
right.
Pleasure.
All right, buddy. We'll talk later. Thank you for joining. We'll see you soon.
Awesome. Have a good night, everyone.
You too.
All right. Thank you to Joe. Let's bring Leighton now on. Leighton, good evening. How are you? Please meet Nevin. Nevin, please meet Leighton.
Hey guys, how are you, Nevin?
I'm good. How are you, Leighton?
Oh, excellent, thanks.
Nice to meet you.
Nevin, Leighton's a vintage expert, and Nevin has his 1966 Topps hockey set being sold as a set break right now. And Leighton, I want to get your thoughts on Pino's comment here where he says Bobby Orr is the Mickey Mantle of hockey. Now, Pino, I know him. He's a great collector up here in Canada. I see him at the expo all the time. But I'm wondering from your I want both your perspectives on this because I think this is a fun analogy. Is Bobby Orr the Mickey Mantle of hockey, or is Gordie Howe the Mickey Mantle of hockey? And the reason why I shift from Orr to Howe myself is because Howe and Mantle entered professional sports right at about the same time, where Bobby Orr came about 15 years later. So let's get your thought on that first, Leighton. What do you think? Is it Bobby Orr or is it Gordie Howe who's the Mickey Mantle of hockey?
It's a great question. I don't know that I'm qualified to answer on the hockey side, but I'm curious as far as the careers of Howe versus Orr. And if I'm not mistaken, Howe definitely played for a long time because I know his cards. But like, did anyone's career compare to Mantle's in the way that they were highly touted to start, they had an amazing career, but they suffered an injury very early that derailed them from potentially what could have been maybe the greatest career of all time?
What do you think, Nevin? I'll pass that one to you.
Bobby Orr, he had an unbelievable career, but he had horrible knees. He had horrible doctors that, recommended these knee surgeries. And I mean, he only played for 10 years. I think he was done in 77, but the numbers he had were phenomenal. I mean, Gordie Howe played for he played when he was into his 50s.
Decades. Yeah.
Like for 50. Yeah. Like it's incredible. I mean, he played, I think he played 6 decades, like 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. And then I think he even played in the 80s on,
I think he even played a game in the 90s for like the Detroit Vipers of the International Hockey League, something like that, to put him in. Yeah, it was crazy how much he played. But I think at the end it became gimmicky. His last play days. What is kind of a neat little passing of the torch piece of trivia for people out there, Leighton, I wonder if you know this. You probably do know this. Gordie Howe's final playing days regular issue card is in the 1979-80 Topps and O-Pee-Chee sets, which also happens to be the first card of Wayne Gretzky in those same sets, which is kind of a neat passing of the torch moment in that 79-80 set. Leighton, did you know that? Was that something that was kind of what you were
did.
aware of?
I actually have a high grade. I think I have a 9 of the Topps card because I've always enjoyed that card and thought compared to like what the Gretzky sells for, it's just kind of a cool card of the last part of them.
Isn't it? Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely a fun, kind of comparison and discussion to have. But once again, I don't know that I'm qualified to give the answer.
What do you think of that, Nevin? I mean, you're a hockey historian. You've been collecting your whole life. I just, I've been aware of this, but the impact of it is just sort of hitting me right now that you can put those two cards beside each other. And it's again, because it was Mr. Hockey, and then it was the great one. Gordie Howe, Wayne Gretzky, with Bobby Orr kind of sliding there in the middle as those being the 3 earliest guys on the Mount Rushmore of hockey. Then we have Mario Lemieux on there as well. But what do you think of that, Nevin, that you got Gretzky's first card in the same set as Gordie Howe's last card? Is that as cool, or is that as cool as I think it is, or is this?
Oh, it is totally cool. Yeah, because I mean, you got Howe, and I think Bobby Hull's in there. That was his last card too.
It was
in that
also
79-80 set.
Bobby Hull's last card. Bobby Hull. Bobby Hull's card is like a portrait where it's his head filling up the whole image, whereas Gordie Howe is more of a. Don't really want to call it an action shot because it looks like he's just kind of moseying around the ice in a warm up.
I don't think he played much at that point. Yeah.
He's literally got gray hair. He's a grandfather at this point, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah,
No,
absolutely.
they both had remarkable careers, even though Orr's was really short. Like the numbers he put up for a defenseman were just remarkable.
Remarkable. Absolutely. Okay, Pino says Bobby Orr is the Mickey Mantle. So we have some responses to that here. Let's see. Yeah, Wayne's a big vintage collector in Canada. He says, yeah, Bobby Orr is the mantle of hockey. He says Gordie Howe is the roof. That's
a good
comparison. But you're 50 years apart, Wayne, right? You're still kind of 50 years apart. Goldauer says George Vezina is good looking too. Handsome man, George Vezina. His rookie card is 1911. Imperial Tobacco, the C55 set. Pino here says the 52 tops and Bobby Orr rookie are so iconic. They just look like the Mona Lisa of vintage cards. Yeah. 52 tops, mantle, I think he must be referring to here. 66 tops, or I agree with you on that, Pino. Absolutely. A couple other comments here. Jim says, Nevin, if you like the wood grain hockey, do you like the 62 tops baseball cards? Those are vertical. That's got the Lou Brock rookie in it. Do you know that design off the top of your head?
I'm not. Yeah, baseball. I'm not really up on baseball.
How about you? That's fine. How about you, Leighton? I mean, do you ever think of the 55 Bowman, the 62 tops baseball, and the 66 tops hockey in the same vein because they all have that wood grain?
Not really, but 66 hockey to me is much tougher is the reason why. But I did want to cast a vote out there, and I know it's not his first card, but I really love the 54 tops Gordie Howe.
To me, that is the equivalent in hockey to the 52 tops mantle, because neither are rookie cards, but both are brilliant,
iconic,
in
presentation. Beautiful cards.
Yeah,
beautiful. And actually, if you go to, I believe, PSA on their set registry, for all 4 major sports, they have the Mount Rushmore registry set. A 4-card set registry. And in hockey, they've to make up the hockey Mount Rushmore registry, Gordie Howe's card is not his 51. At least it wasn't back when I was working on it. It wasn't his 51 Parkers. It was the 54 tops card that was actually the card on the Mount Rushmore registry, not the 51 Parkhurst rookie. And I kind of understand it because the 54 tops is superior, in my opinion, to the 51 Parkhurst in just aesthetics and presentation. It's a beautiful card, full color, where the Parkhurst card, you've got some ink, but a ton of card stock showing through on the front. Most vintage cards, there's a complete cover of print that covers the card stock, but not so the case with those early Parkhurst cards.
Yeah.
Interesting stuff right there. Wayne does say, wow, those cards look great. Thanks for showing. Good to see a fellow vintage set collector. Absolutely, Wayne. Dan says here, depends on the set whether to break it or sell it as a whole. This seems like the right decision by Nevin. Good to hear. Wayne says breaking the setup is better for the seller. Not a lot of people that will spend big money all at once. I agree with that. And then we're seeing some. Here's a blast from the recent past, but someone we haven't seen in a long time here in the chat is 1956 tops guy. Matthew has joined us in the chat. It is good to see you. Unfortunately, Joe's not here anymore to hear this nice comment, but he says Joe is the man. He is. And Matthew, what a treat to see you again in the chat. It's been a while. Rounding the corners with Darren says, when is Leighton going to start a guided meditation channel? Could listen to that voice talk vintage all day and would settle a lot of anxiety for many. Leighton, are you looking to start a new career or add a side hustle to your
Sure. I'll start a subscription channel. I think it's pretty popular on IG, right?
Subscriptions. You can definitely. And hey, we do a podcast about once a month called the Vintage Spotlight. Many of you know about it, but Leighton, I have to tell you, I don't know if you heard earlier in the show, Leighton and I usually prepare for that one Friday a month. It's supposed to be this coming Friday. I can't make it, Leighton. I'm going to be in New York City next week, traveling home on the Friday. I'll be streaming the Fanatics Collect Premier Auction live stream that me and Adam do every month. This will be our 57th month in a row, but this one we're going to be doing live from the Fanatics studio in New York City. So I'll be on an airplane. We'll have to plan it the week after, if that's okay with you, buddy. You
Yeah,
cool with that?
well, congrats. It sounds like a fun trip.
Should be. I'm looking forward to it. And Rob Star says that Ken Dryden's last card is also in the 79 set.
Yes.
That's another big one right there.
That's true. I forgot about that.
Right.
Yeah.
So you got him, you got Dryden, Howe, and Bobby Hall. Those are three like top tier Hall of Famers all in that one set. So really cool stuff. Wayne Gretzky, yes. BWS a bit behind says Craig Kilborn is classic in the movie Old School. Got here late watching from the beginning. I could tell he's saying that because if you guys missed it, he was in our party at the basketball game on Tuesday in LA at the Laker game. So thanks for that. Good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, guys. Yeah. Oh, rounding the corners with Darren. Love the vintage spotlight. Wants more. We're bringing them out about once a month. They're a lot of fun to do, and we're enjoying them. So okay. Let me just check my schedule here, guys. I want to make sure we're keeping as close to time. We got a bunch of people on the show tonight. Nevin, anything else that's on your mind that you'd like to share with the audience before you get out of here for the night? It's been great having you. I'm glad to know you. It's funny because when we were meeting up, we only live a few minutes away from each other, which made it really convenient. Yeah, we went and had lunch at a pub that I like to go. They have a great pastrami sandwich. We went and had lunch there. Leighton, you should come next time. It was great. But yeah, let's get Leighton's thoughts first on one thing, Nevin, before you pop off. Oh, and Nevin does have company at his house right now, so we're gonna let him know.
It's fine. They're up playing mahjong. I'm supposed to try and learn how to play mahjong tonight.
All right.
So I don't know how that's gonna go.
Leighton, Nevin built the 66 Tops hockey set. He's selling it as a set break versus as a complete set. Want to get your thoughts on that strategy for him, and as far as selling these cards to help pay for his daughter's wedding that is coming up later this year. What do you think of that decision that I helped him make? So you feel free to call me wrong, but I want your genuine and honest opinion on that.
Sure. Well, first, Nevin, congrats to your daughter and to your family. That's great.
Thank you.
Second, what's the average grade of the set?
I think it came out to be 7.15 or something like that. It was just over 7.
Number 16 on the set registry, Leighton.
Yeah, it was number 16.
So are there any 9s in the set?
No.
I would imagine there's some 8s.
Yeah, I think there was, I had it written down. I don't know what I did with it, but there was like 40 or 35 or 48s, I think.
Okay. And then is the Orr centered?
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's a 7. It's centered.
I'll show it to you late. It's not perfectly centered, but let me show it to you. I'm just gonna really quickly here. I'll let you guys watch what I'm doing here as I'm going back to card number 35. We're down to, so here it comes. There it is. It's a beautiful copy. You can see this little bit of off-centeredness on the right, but other than that, it's super clean. How do you like it?
Oh, it's a great card. And so just to make sure I understand your question, Jeremy, Nevin, you're selling it card by card, and you want to know if what I think about that?
Yeah.
Sure. Well, I'm disappointed I didn't get a chance to make Nevin an offer, but the joking aside, because who doesn't love vintage hockey? Nevin, the kind of set that you have, I think, is ripe to sell card by card. But I wanted to make sure that I understood what you had before I commented on it. Yeah. I think there's a few instances, not many, but I think there's a few instances where offering it as card by card alongside the ability to buy the whole set at once, which I've seen a few auction houses do, I do think represents an interesting proposition for a consignor. Some consignors enjoy that, others don't. Some buyers like that, others don't. I think that the choice that you made is great. And the only way that I would have maybe, done something different is if, the set was, let's say, like the test set, and you had the highest graded of all time or something like that. I might have given people the opportunity to either bid on the singles or bid on the whole set at once. Yeah. Just because of the uniqueness of that. But I think when you're talking about this, you're probably going to have what I would imagine no less than at least a half dozen collectors that'll be interested in filling in their high grade set. and they wouldn't have that opportunity. And you'll have well more than that interested in your ore. So I think you made a nice decision, and my fingers are crossed for you guys.
Well, I have noticed lately, probably in the last 6 months to a year, there hasn't been a lot of high grade PSA 7, PSA 8 singles for sale on eBay of that year. So, and I don't know if that's because nobody's collecting the set anymore, or there just isn't, the availability of those high grade cards anymore in that set.
I think it's the latter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
I can
yeah,
speak from
really?
the States. I can speak from the States. It's like a desert down here for high grade 6-6 hockey, man. So I think
Yeah.
it'd be okay.
I think people are sitting on them. They want to own these cards. They're collecting them to own them for decades at a time. And you're by making your set available to people, I think you're going to be making a lot of people happy, Nevin. That's the thing, and not just one person, but a lot of people. And they'll fill in their sets or buy the few singles that they want. So listen, I'm hoping for you, cheering you on, and hopefully maybe some people here today or listening on podcast this week are going to say, hey, I'm going to go check those out and maybe buy a couple or throw a couple bids at them to try and win some cards or win. Yeah. We don't win cards when we bid at auction, guys. We win the right to pay for them. That's what we win. We do win the auction. We don't win the card.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And BWS calls out or mentions Craig Kilborn's part in the movie here. We won't read it out loud, but a good memory there from a funny movie. Carl from Oz says that's a great set. I usually don't like the TV set surrounds, but these are sharp. Yeah, I listen. As far as the Bobby Orr rookie card goes, as Wayne said earlier in the chat, it is like a Mona Lisa sort of card. I love the second year Bobby Orr. I think that card is spectacular as well. Nevin's nodding along. You definitely agree with that.
I was close to buying that set at one point. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, if that was Bobby Orr's rookie card, I think I'd be just as happy as a collector who wants to own a Bobby Orr rookie card to have that one as well. So yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, that 67-8 set is fantastic.
Yeah, it is. It's very, very nice. It's got Rogie Vachon's rookie card, Leighton. Rogie Vachon.
I love saying his name.
LA Kings. Hall of Fame goalie for the LA Kings.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, Nevin. Listen, thank you for joining. Have fun learning Mahjong. We will be in touch. Thank you for coming on the show. It's been a pleasure having you, my friend.
Thanks, Jeremy. Nice to meet you, Leighton.
Take it easy, Nevin.
All right. See you guys.
You take care, bud. You take care. All right, Leighton. I wanted to ask you, how was the Philly show last week?
Well, we certainly weren't playing Mahjong. My mother plays it, so God bless Nevin. I don't know what's going on in his house, but I don't know anything about the game. But my mother, I think, actively plays it, and I hear my father talk about it. It's very interesting. I think it's very comedic. But I wish Nevin the best with his set and his evening.
I told him earlier today. I said, "Yeah, my mom plays it, and my wife's mom plays it, and my aunts play it." So. He's early. He's still watching right now. He's early starting his Mahjong career, but I'm sure he'll have some fun. And yeah, it was great to have Nevin on the show. So thanks everybody for the comments and questions and for checking out his set. Absolutely. So Philly show was from what I'm hearing, Leighton, it was off the charts. How was it for you and Just Collect? And I want to thank you because you sent me a message, I think Saturday, saying, hey, if there's anything you're looking for, I'll be walking the floor tomorrow. I can send you some pics. So I want to say thank you for doing that. I mentioned one card to you, the 48 leaf Stan Musial. I said I'd be looking for one of those. Didn't hear from you. I guess you didn't find a copy that was up my alley, but I want to thank you for making that offer at least. And how was the shopping on Sunday? And how was the show for you business-wise?
Well, in terms of your Musial, just to answer that directly, I did find from my recollection, one, it was not a nice one. It was funny because when I saw it, I got really excited because I'm not looking for one for myself. I'm like, oh, how great would this be if I could assist my friend north of the border in the States to buy a Cole Musial rookie? So, you see it like, oh, that might be not bad. And then, I got a closer look. It was just a lower grade example of a one, something that you wouldn't be happy with as far as eye appeal. But it's interesting because I don't know if it's rarity or just because you had my eye, looking out for it. But since then, it's like Well, make that 2. I'm not looking for a usual rookie. Like I don't see as many as I used to, and I maybe it was just the little, the microcosm of the Philly show versus like a bigger national show, such as the one coming up this summer in Chicago. But nonetheless, the show itself was insane, very busy, both as far as sales at the booth, which is interesting to see because other than the national, you never know what's going to happen, right? But it seems to be that the market's very brisk, no matter where you set up, as long as you have nice inventory and I guess reasonable prices. And then buying, the reason why I'm kind of smirking is because buying was okay the first few days behind the booth, but it's as competitive as ever. And I don't just mean percentage. It's like, well, my friend Billy gave me a pass 6 years ago and he's paying the same, so I'm going to hook him up. I'm like, all right, I'll buy you lunch next time. He's like, well, I got a guy named Fred. He buys me lunch. And obviously some of this is to be comedic, but in the sense of like, but it's really true that it's very competitive. Like, just paying the most doesn't necessarily get you the cards. So you really have to try to listen to what's going on the other side. Maybe they're looking for something for their collection, or you could offer them, who knows, what to make their life easier as far as the hobby goes. But I decided on Sunday I was going to go out on the floor, start buying, and before I get to what happened on the floor, it was interesting because after I posted a particular card that I picked up, I saw a comment from Dan McKee, and shout out to Levi from 707 Sports Cards on my Facebook post that said, oh, well, I stopped walking the floor like 20 years ago because all I do is spend money. And I think Levi went as far to say is like he might have a problem / a disease. He can't stop. And, I reflected on that for a moment. I'm like, oh, if I don't ever want to spend money at the show these days, just stay behind the booth because it's as hard as ever and as competitive as ever. But I think that's, really, I guess, a testament to the maturity of the space. What's going on. But getting back to Sunday, I ran around. I did buy a bunch of stuff. In particular, I was able to pick up. What was interesting is that when I first saw it, I really liked the eye appeal. Then it passed like the Jeremy test. It only had a grade of 2. I'm like, huh,
Perfect.
That's kind of cool. Yeah, there's a faint crease across the middle. So the gentleman, and I don't know his name, or I give him a shout out. Maybe he'd be, I'm not sure. But anyway, he doesn't seem to be someone who did it regularly, but he did. He had a 1949 Bowman Jackie Robinson, and it was marked at, like 6,000 something. And I just asked him very simply the best you could do. And the price that he responded with was one that I knew right away I was pretty much going to buy the card. But I had a feeling that he might have a little bit more room. But instead of asking him if he could do a little bit better from there, because, right, if there's a little bit of a dance here, you don't want to be, like you walk away, like you did a deal or you bought some cards, but, no one likes you, right? That's not the impression you want to leave. So what I did, Jeremy, is that I decided to try to buy more cards. But like he had, I'll just say, let's say $25 to $200 graded cards. And I'm not going to say they're cheap, but they were like fairly priced. So I don't know. I put together like another bunch of cards. And I said to him, well, I'm curious, like, what would you do for this group? And he said, whatever. And I said, all right, well, what if I take the Jackie and this? And I felt like, like my 16-year-old self, because I hadn't done it like that in a while, but I was really just having some fun. Candidly, not think we reached a deal, but he was so reasonable with his first price. When I asked if he had any flexibility in the Jackie, that we reached a deal then and there. However, and I'm curious if this ever has happened to anyone, someone who I think had bought or looked at a card at my booth maybe a little bit ago, I don't know if they were following me or whatever, it certainly felt like that. He made some sort of announcement as I have like a Jackie in my hand before I bought it. He's like, hey, buddy, I want to show you some card. And I'm thinking, Jeremy, there's a treasure trove of cards. It can't be the card that I'm looking at. Meanwhile, it's the card I'm looking at. And it was like a little bit awkward for a second. And basically said to the gentleman, me and the dealer, hey, man, whatever you want to do, I don't want to really cause any issues. So if someone has looked at this before, what's the scoop? Yeah, no, I'm talking to you, and to be fair, it was Sunday morning. So, there was a few days that transpired. But we did reach a deal. And my favorite card I bought on Sunday to try to finish it up was a 1949 Bowman Jackie Robinson in a grade of SGC2. But the eye appeal to me was tremendous, both not just the centering, the color, the way, if you know anything about that card, right? The cap can look funky. And it's got a tiny crease, but not a crease that, bothers me a lot. So I bought and sold a bunch recently, and that's going to be a keeper for a while. So.
Well, cool, man. Sounds like a lot of fun, and sounds like it was a fun deal to be a part of and to make. And, speaking of a crease, for decades, a crease on the card was like the devil. It was not going to make its way into my collection. Now I've softened on creases. I don't look for cards with creases, but if there's a wrinkle or a crease that is hard to see, I'm willing to let it enter my collection. As funny as that sounds, in the past, there were just no creases allowed. There was a strict rule. Now I don't discriminate against creases as much as I once did, especially if it's going to save me thousands or tens of thousands of dollars and get me a card that looks otherwise just as nice. And that's the case of some of the cards that I have in my collection now. So yeah, I hear you, and I'm intrigued. I'd love to see that card at some point. Just whenever.
It's an IG. You can check out my Instagram account. I posted it on Sunday from the convention.
Oh, okay. I can't wait to go take a closer look at that. That is awesome, man. Well, fun stuff, and thanks for the report from there. What's the next show that you're going to be at?
So in a few weeks, I guess, is the Strongsville show, or whatever the new one is called. And then the week after, I think that the Dallas show company, I don't know the name of them, but the folks who run the Dallas show, I guess they're doing their first ever New Jersey show.
Yeah.
And so, our team, we've committed to exhibiting at the show. And so that'll be the next show we're going to exhibit at, but I'll be walking around and attending some trade nights in Strongsville the week before.
Absolutely. And one comment on Strongsville, I was watching Theo Clemente Collector did an interview with the founder, well, not the founder, but I think Greeny, who does the original Independence show, and Mikey from the Expo, who runs the Strongsville show with Steve Menzie. And they were saying, Theo asked the question, is it still the Strongsville show, or is it the Independence show? What do we call it? And they were both very clear. It is the Strongsville show. That's what they want to, that's what they intend for it to continue to be called. So, because you said, is it the Strongsville show, or what are we calling it now? Yes, apparently the Strongsville show still applies to that. So, okay. We have David Chase in the back. David Chase is going to join us. And what I want to talk about when he comes on late, and I want to get your thoughts, David's thoughts, my thoughts on the $5.2 million Aaron Judge card that sold, which is I know you're mostly vintage, but you also pay attention to the market, Leighton. Let's bring him on and get some thoughts. We're going to do we'll bring him on. I see you, David. David is so on top of things. He's giving me the thumbs up before I even ask him for the thumbs up. We'll bring him on. We're going to talk about that. Then we're going to go to some comments, but let's bring on David Chase, everybody. Leighton, do you know David? You know David.
Yeah, we've connected before.
Connected, probably on this show. All right, yeah. Leighton, I mean, David, here you come, buddy. Here we go, everybody. Please welcome back David Chase, who was just a guest a couple of weeks ago and is joining us again, and will be joining us regularly here on the show. David, good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you. And hi, Leighton. Good to see you again, too.
Hey, David. Welcome.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Leighton. That was very sweet. Thank you very much. David, first of all, thank you for coming to the book signing at Burbank Sports Cards. It was great to see you. So it was just awesome. I loved having you there. So I'm really grateful you came. I say made the trip. I don't know how far it was for you. I don't remember how far away you live from there, but thanks a lot for coming out, buddy. That was really kind of you.
Of course. I'm happy to support you. And to find Jeremy in the wild, everybody, it's always great to see him out there. There was tons of supporters that were all there coming to see Jeremy and getting to hang out with Laura and Mike Petty and Foulball and all those people. By the way, Laura is probably one of the sweetest people I've ever met. You are just such a sweetheart. I want to give you a little shout out. But Jeremy, just great to see you and support you and send the love.
I appreciate it, buddy. I appreciate it. So guys, the hobby is on fire. Like the thumbnail for this episode says, the hobby is on fire, but will it burn out? I mean, I'm not insinuating it will be, just a little YouTube thumbnail fun there, but the Judge card, I've heard some people call it almost a signal of us being at the top. you talk about people like to talk about what inning are we in, and I've never liked that analogy because there are no innings. This thing's just going to go on forever anyway. But what do you, when you hear about that, and it was a private deal brokered between two firms in the space, Fanatics and Acquire. I think one company represented the buyer, the other represented the seller, and they brought this together. And I got to show you guys one thing that kind of blew my mind a little bit today when I was sort of looking at this on the internet. And I'm just to share the screen here. So this is Reuters. Reuters has the headline and some pictures right there. Aaron Judge baseball card sells for modern day record $5.2 million. NBC News, same sort of thing. ESPN has it as well. A couple guys talking about it there. This is what is this little thing? Is this Microsoft or something like that is talking about it as well? A modern baseball card milestone. Oh, I have ESPN up there twice. Sports Illustrated, of course, will be talking about it as well. My point being is that this sale has gone mainstream, just like when Mr. Wonderful bought the dual logo man auto of Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan. This thing is catching a lot of attention right now. I think that's good for the hobby, that it's catching attention, going to help to grow the hobby, just like Ken Golden being on Netflix, just like Tom Brady opening a chain of stores across the United States and everything else that's going on out there. I mean, listen, we all want the hobby to flourish. We're in the hobby. Why wouldn't we want more people to enjoy it? I know there's the argument, well, I don't want to drive more people, means more demand, drives up the cost, but don't worry, guys. Fanatics will supply enough cards for everybody, I'd have to think, if they're planning to 10x the hobby. All that said, let's start with you, David. Your reaction, your response to this sale. What does it mean, if anything, to you? And I know you're a vintage guy, but bring it into your own context. How do you look at it?
Yeah, I mean, the hobby is alive and well. That's what this sale is really showing us all. I do agree with you that anytime cards are in the media, it's a good thing for collectors. I mean, all right, it's not a good thing for people that want the cheapest cards possible, but it does bring people into our community, right? And I think that more and more people come in when they see crazy sales like that. Do I think that the buyer of that card is a little bit of a crazy person? Yeah. But at the same time, it's just not up my alley. I wouldn't be investing in a player that is playing still, that's still in their career. But I completely think that it's really just showing how much fever is in the hobby at this point.
Absolutely. Yeah. Good comments. Leighton, what about you? Again, another vintage guy, but you pay attention to the market. And I know you're even paying more attention to modern than you did 5+ years ago, let's say. When you heard about that sale, what went through your mind?
That things are really healthy, and that even though it's not necessarily a card that I would handle, I think it's just a sign of good things to come financially. But I do understand that, when I say financially, I make a living in the space. I also collect. So it does mean the things I'm going to buy might cost more, but it also means that some of the things in my collection might continue to appreciate if there's more demand. But to be clear, I don't think that one sale, even albeit for 5.2 million, means any of those things in particular. But I think we're seeing one stacked on top of another, stacked on top of another. And as I alluded to the Philly show, Jeremy, I mean, things were insane there. We were selling cards from $100 to $45,000, and we could have done more if we had brought more inventory or our entire inventory. I just didn't think that was necessary at like a local regional show, as good as Philly is. And I just think that the momentum that the space is seeing right now is unparalleled and has been unrivaled in recent years, and that's really exciting.
Yeah. That makes good sense to me. Agree with all your comments there. We have some comments from the chat. Let's go to some in there. But first, going back to the horizontal card thoughts, Mid-Atlantic had this comment. He said, just a thought, perhaps an innovation for the grading companies is to consider putting the flip on the long edge for horizontal cards. That has been tried before. I think it was HGA did it. Maybe there's another company that's tried it too. I think it's a little bit awkward, but what about taking the flip instead of changing where the flip is, changing the print orientation of it. I'm looking for a graded card on my table here, and I don't seem to have one on my desk within reach, but you know what I'm saying? Instead of the flip reading this way in a horizontal card, if the card is like this, have the flip read from top to bottom, and the 8, if it's an 8, like, you know, standing up instead of being sideways, that way might be interesting. Dan says the Philly show was one of the best card shows I've ever attended of any show ever. Strong comment right there. And he sent me a picture of the crew from the show. Looked like an absolutely wonderful, wonderful time. We have Skeppy. Leighton, I know you got to run. Here's a question from a comment from Skeppy. Why don't you answer this one? And then if you need to run, you can run. He says, Leighton, what are your top 2 or 3 common cards of all time and why? How often does a common card you haven't seen strike you as appealing? I think it's an interesting question. Does anything come to mind for you? And we'll let David answer this question too. So guys, rack your brains for that. And kind of let me know if something comes to mind, because if it doesn't, we're gonna go on to another comment here.
Sure. It's a really interesting question, one that I don't think I've been asked before. But before I answer, I just want to give it a shout out to Dan from Vintage Baseball PC. He was the cameraman on the T206 plank video, what I did with a collector named Jim from the show. And if you haven't checked it out, it's only like 3 minutes on my YouTube channel. And the gentleman talks about how he bought an Eddie plank for a few $100s at public auction, like at an estate sale. It really blew my mind. But anyway, getting back to the common questions. Number one, when I was a kid, I remember this card. It's the first card I wrote down. I think it was 84 Fleer. Glenn Hubbard from the Atlanta Braves. He had a snake that he was wearing. And I remember asking my dad, I'm like, Dad, is that real? And like, you know, my dad's like, he's what? Like, get this out of my hand. Like, he didn't understand what's going on. I'm like, no, Dad, it's a real card. I just want to know if it's a snake. So I remember that card. The 76 Topps, like the chewing gum championship card. I think it's Kurt Bavacqua, maybe, with that big bubble. That's, you know, a fairly common card that comes to mind. And then I guess there's a few from the 52 Topps set. I think it's Gus Zernial with all the baseballs. Maybe 51 Bowman. The Paul Richards card's weird, but those kinds of cards.
Interesting. How about you, David? Anything come to mind for you?
It was so funny because I was thinking of the same 52 Topps card. I was trying to Google what that dude's name is that had the balls all around him. I think about that set a lot because my dad's right now collecting the 1952 Topps set in a very slow fashion without the mantle. But so a lot of those cards kind of pop out at me. And that one that has all the balls around him is just such a funny common card. That's pretty cool that you sometimes see in people's cases just because it is an interesting looking one too.
The one that comes to mind for me is from 1973 Topps and O-Pee-Chee Hockey, the Phil Roberto card, where he's literally in like, it's like a boxing match on the card. He's like just taking a punch and you can see the follow through from the guy who punched him. And he's kind of like that. And it's the kind of card that like the NHL would not allow in a hockey set, in a card set today.
Right,
so
sure.
it's like, I think one of the earliest renditions of a hockey fight on a card. And there was a period of time where I kind of wanted one. I'm kind of over it right now, but it was an interesting base card that has no value, which is, I mean, who cares about the value anyway, but that would have no value, but would have a lot of fun as far as own appeal would go, to quote Dan from Dan's Vintage. So yeah, good. Is he, own appeal. Yeah. Mike Petty came up with my appeal. Yes, that's right. Okay. All right. Leighton, you got to run?
I do, but I really appreciate having me on the show. David, it was great to see you.
Hold on, Leighton. I can't let you go yet. Eric has a question I want you to answer. Real quick, too. Is vintage market as hot and on fire as it appears?
I mean, from my standpoint, it is.
Good. Okay, Leighton, goodbye. Thank you.
Take it easy, guys.
Take care, buddy.
Bye.
All right. We won't make him expand on that much, David.
Good.
Okay, David, we have a topic I want to talk about that has to do with you specifically. Before we do that, I want to run through some more comments here. So hang tight, buddy. Chris C, it seems like It seems like most of the best shows are all on the East Coast. I can't get to them. Oh, well, I'm in California with limited budget. Chris, I just know that I've been to the West Coast Card Show is pretty good. I know there's Front Row Card Show does a few cards in California. So just check the card show directories and hopefully you can find some more. Orlando cannot wait for Strongsville. Go ahead. Oh, David's from California. Yeah, jump in, buddy.
I'm California. I understand what he's saying. The local shows that are here, especially if you're a vintage collector, there really there isn't very much to find. Front Row, though, that's come in has really helped that. So you have Front Row and you have West Coast, but it's not like East Coast where there's local shows and you can find vintage at every few tables. I'm watching people on these channels that go to their local show down the street, and there's 7 different vintage tables that are there. We're happy to find one. So it is a little dry in California.
Yeah, I appreciate the context there. Absolutely. Michael Rader says David was awesome on Greg Midlife's show. I think he's talking about the one with Darren. What is it? They have a name for their when they pair up. It's just escaping me right now. But a great tandem. Off topic, right? With Greg and Darren return to collecting. Let's Go Jordan says $5.2 million Judge is simply silly. Diamond Mine Sports Cards welcomes his $5.2 million is going to age like milk. He needs to end up a top 10 player all time to justify it. Fair comment right there. Michael Rader says these big card sales bring more people into the hobby due to publicity. I agree. Laura calls out that David Gilmour's guitar sold for $14.6 million of Pink Floyd. In that Bob Ire or Israel, I don't know how you say his name. I don't even really know who he is, but he seems like a very enthusiastic collector of music memorabilia. Orlando says the hobby naturally stronger than ever, not like the COVID bump. That's always good to know and to hear. Chris says, welcome back, David. Laura's giving a hand to David. Let's Go Jordan. How many Babe Ruths are $5.2 million? He is not the great Bambino. I think like 1, 2, or 3 maybe have sold for that much. The doctor, what was his name that was sold on Memory Lane a couple years ago? He had the number 53 from 33 Gaudi and a PSA 9 sold for millions of dollars.
How about
Robert
that
Allen,
red one that sold for less? Like, remember it sold and then it sold like a year later for less just a few months ago? How much did that go for?
Which one? Which card was that?
It's like the pre-rookie Babe Ruth card, remember?
Oh, the Baltimore News, the schedule.
Yeah, the schedule.
Yeah. That card had sold for something like 6 million once, and then again for a lot less. Yeah, I just don't like the looks of that thing. Me
neither.
I know.
Give me the Gaudi all day long.
All day long for me too. Darren says that's a walk-off by Leighton. This sure was. That was great. And Greg says, David, thanks for taking this week off from Disneyland for us. That's right. Absolutely. Mr. Manos is here from the Midwest. Welcome. Robert Allen, vintage is a great segment of the hobby. Love 50s hockey. It is truly a work of art. Absolutely. James Fertitta says the Yankee tax is expensive. There's another tax in the hobby. There's no shortage of hobby taxes out there. Chris, I love Greg's book. Chapter 3 got me teary-eyed. I can't wait to read it. Greg and I made a deal yesterday. We did a trade. We might have done the very first hobby author book trade in the history of the hobby, where we agreed to trade copies at the National and sign them at the same time for each other. So looking forward to that. Hi, Pop Professor. Off topic. What's off topic? Robert Allen, I have a PSA 7.5 Rocket Richard rookie card. It is amazing and truly artwork. That's an amazing card, Robert Allen. There's Steve, the Fresh Prince of Sports Cards. What is up? Good to see you. Says the like button is needing some love. Jim Ire was the owner of the Colts. That makes a lot of sense then, selling all these high-end collectibles. Orlando says the 33 Gaudi Babe Ruth sold for $4.2 million in 2021. Yeah, that was the collection of the doctor in Florida who passed away. I bought one card out of that collection, the SI for Kids Tiger Woods. I had purchased from that same collection. Actually, I no longer own that card, though. Ben Burrow says that Ruth Baltimore News sold for $7.2 million. Then again, recently for just $4 million. Yeah, thank you for clarifying that. Ben Burrows always can bring us the facts, the journalist that he is. Chris likes the trade idea with me and Greg. Good evening, Travis Mater, the GOAT. Good to see you, buddy. Okay, David, anything on your mind before we transition to another conversation about that Jackie Robinson card that you bid on?
Yeah, I mean, I want to know what's the reason why you sold that Tiger Woods card. I mean, isn't that a very tough card to find? Like, what was your thought there?
Good question. So my thought was it's a perforated card. You know what? I thought I bought it originally because I wanted to take part in that collection from this Dr. Steven something. I can't remember his name. And to me, that was Tiger's like rookie card. You know, it's before the upper deck. It's just a real card versus that Masters black ugly thing. I just think is a disaster to look at. I know the picture of him is nice, but it's just a weird looking card. Not a fan of that. So it was his rookie card. But I sold it when I sold a bunch of things. When I had to raise money for personal reasons, I sacrificed that card, and I don't miss it at all. So that's it. There is a Tiger Woods card that is high up on my want list. There's another Tiger Woods card that I'm hoping to buy tomorrow night on Fanatics Weekly. That's about the only hint I'll drop there. Maybe I don't think I'm going to live bid like on the screen like I did last Sunday. I think I'm going to be bidding on my phone to keep my cards closer to my chest. But yeah, that's really why. I just, you know what? I just don't like it. It's just not a nice card to my eye. Even though it's I like it better than the Masters cards. Yeah, that's about it.
Makes sense. You don't have any other Sports Illustrated for Kids cards, do you?
No, I don't. No.
Okay.
No. And I did for a while search for them and thought, oh, maybe I'll build a little SI for Kids collection. You know, there's a Gretzky, there's some other kind of cool ones that are not rookie cards by any means, but they're very cool. But other priorities, man, you know, so many.
I get it. Cards. I mean, I also like, I think a Serena Williams and a Michael Phelps that are cool. I think that there's like a couple of like weird, like off sport kind of ones that I've always just thought were interesting. Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I completely agree. What is also interesting was, and I did mention this last week on the show when you were in Disneyland, but back to the PSA 1 Jackie Robinson that you obsessed over for a whole 8 or 10 days while it was for sale by PSA on eBay. And we talked about it at length a couple weeks ago here on the show. But you had your bid ready. Just to recap for people who might not be aware, you had your bid ready to go. You had it through a sniping service. You had contacted eBay and the sniping service ahead of time to make sure that the bid would go through. You got the clearance. You went to place that bid. The system went to place the bid for you, and it looked like you won the card for $27,600. And then you noticed that it said you did not win the card. Somebody else won the card, and you were heartbroken. And the card ended up, you were willing to pay more. Your bid was somewhere between like $30,000 and $35,000. It did not go through. And we reminisced about it here. We talked about it. And we were, sad for you that you did not, but you'd come to terms to a degree and thought, well, it wasn't meant to be, but that was probably you trying to make yourself feel better as well.
Definitely.
But then I get a message from somebody last week, the week before our last episode, telling me that, hey, I'm the guy who won the card. I'm the guy who bid on the card and bought the card. And kind of says to me, you might want to let David know that if his bid was like under $35,000, he was not winning that card anyway. And I sent you that message. And I told the chat that day that I sent you that message. How did you like that news that I was lucky to be the privileged one to share that with you while you were at Disneyland? How did your day go while talking to me and after? What happened to David Chase? Can you not hear me?
You're breaking up.
I'm breaking up. Okay. I'm seeing no signs of that.
It's choppy.
Okay. Did you hear what I said? How did you feel knowing that you I think it might be your earbuds. They can hear me fine, David.
Okay.
How did you feel? How did you feel hearing that news from me then and the rest of the day?
It was the biggest relief getting that call from you, Jeremy. Are you able to hear me, by the way? Good. Okay. It was wonderful. When he asked me to call him, I had no idea that this was going to be the topic. But he said you're going to be relieved. And when I ended up speaking to you and you telling me that, it was just, even though it was over, I just have always had in the back of my mind, could I have won that card? And was it a mistake? And was I screwed over? And it was just like the clouds parted from the sky. It was wonderful. It was an amazing feeling. And I know that even is kind of silly, because if I ended up losing the bid at that time, I probably would have been very, very frustrated just thinking that I came in second. But, it just was a relief. And even though it wasn't on the back, like it hasn't been top of mind, right? Since this has all happened after I took a week after it was over. But I'll tell you that when I was going crazy researching that card, I was getting up very early. Like I usually get up at 5:45. I was getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning because my mind was racing whenever I'd wake up in the middle of the night. And I kept getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning all the way, even after the auction ended, even though it wasn't like I was waking up thinking of that Jackie Robinson card. But I'll tell you, as crazy as it is, it must be part of the subconscious, because since that phone call, I've gone up at my alarm every morning since then. As crazy as that sounds.
That's unbelievable. Just to confirm, can you hear me okay now?
I can hear you perfectly. Yeah.
Okay, good. So, well, that's awesome, man. I'm happy to hear. But there's another issue that comes out of this whole thing. And I received an email from another viewer of the channel who basically said to me, it's nice that David, can be relieved that he didn't win the card and would not have won the card. It's nice that the buyer got the card for whatever, $5,000 less than he otherwise would have had you put your bid in. But what about the seller? eBay had this safeguard in place that nobody knew about, even eBay, when you called them, which literally cost the seller. And again, you haven't disclosed your exact high bid. I'm placing it somewhere between 30 and 35. You told me it was between 30 and 35K. The card sold for 27.6. Let's say your bid was 35K at the maximum. The card would have sold for 35.1 or whatever it is. The seller was literally, I don't know what the right term, ripped off, lost out on $7,500 because your bid didn't go through. Now, the buyer is happy. The buyer who reached out to tell me he was the buyer, very happy with that. eBay saved him. But the seller, that's something we didn't talk about 2 weeks ago, and we should have, kind of missed the ball on that one here to dive into that topic. But then again, back then we weren't really aware that we didn't know who the ultimate buyer was. So I'll cut myself that slack. But even last week we didn't talk about it. But still, I mean, that's a bit of an issue for the seller. I wonder if the seller has any claim, like knowing that there was another bid coming that was placed on time but was denied by the middleman. And that's unfortunate for the seller, who I haven't heard from the seller. Don't know who the seller is, but your thoughts on that, David?
I would be extremely frustrated if I was the seller. And who knows if I'm the only other one, right? There could have been other people that were blocked with this with this size of a card. Again, it's not often that eBay sells cards at an auction for these kind of high prices, right? Most of the time it's a buy it now when it happens. And for me to get blocked, even though eBay told me that I wouldn't be blocked, but it was because of their algorithm that did it. I know that I'm not the only person that this has happened to. When it happened to me, I actually, I was trying to get comfort from a few different people. And I actually spoke to dealer Ash, who, has bought probably very expensive cards. And it's happened to him before too, that he was blocked on an auction. So listen, it's scary if you're going to be selling big cards on eBay. And this really, I was always thinking, because I've used some consignment services where I've received very nice pricing, but over a certain dollar amount, I would be very scared to sell a large card on eBay, obviously, with things like this being able to happen. I would really look into it. And I think that the sellers of cards throughout might have sold for a lot less than really what the comps are showing, which might be one of the reasons why every REA and Heritage auction is a all-time price these days. Doesn't it seem like that?
Yeah.
Right?
Well, yeah. On the regular. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Let's Go Jordan here says, or you saved 30K. I don't think you're feeling that way. I mean, you did, but you wanted the card. I mean, we like cards more than money. That's how we roll, right? And you
Totally.
You don't look at it that way. Like, you saved 30K. You would have been happy to have spent the money on that card and added to your collect. Not happy, delighted, if not ecstatic. So very, very interesting.
It was cards I was selling to be able to do that. So I still have those cards. And I like that Jackie better than those cards still. You're right.
Okay, I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. Now we have our next guest is in the back room. He's in the chat here. Usually, we're gonna bring him on in just a couple of minutes. His name is Joey. He's also Hoops Hobby Hangout. You guys, you've heard me say that channel name several times. But before we bring him on, so Joey, hang tight for a couple more minutes. I want to take a look. Channel sponsor and partner, Collector Investor Auctions. Their March auction ends tomorrow, David. So I want to just bring it up. We're going to take a quick run through. I have the auction sorted highest price first, just to see what the bigger cards are. And here you can see them, guys. You can go to collectorinvestorauctions.com, log in, register to bid if you have not yet. But as I'm scrolling through, people listening on podcasts can't see this, obviously, but what we're looking at is a nice mix of cards from different sports. We've got raw, we've got graded, we've got factory sets, there's a 1931 Mickey Mouse premium picture card. There's a beautiful 41 Ted Williams play ball. That's on my want list. The 53 top Satchel Paige. Joe Poirot recently picked up a nice copy of that. Michael Jordan cards. Like, it's a great mix, guys. So check out collectorinvestorauctions.com. Jeremy the Texas Snowman, Chris Sewell, collector investor dealer in that order, are the guys behind this auction company. There's one of my favorite non-sports cards, the 1931 Wills Walt Disney with Mickey Mouse in a PSA 6 holder. Right beside it's a Barry Sanders card from 1999. Like, and there's a 48 leaf Musial that I want a copy of. That copy's not going to be one that I would want, but there's a PSA 1 for the budget-minded collector. Tons of, just a great mix, guys. Just a great mix. Want to thank Collector Investor Auctions for their support here on Sports Cards Live for the channel. I'm grateful for that. And in return, I'm happy to share their auction and their company with you guys. And if you are not yet registered to bid with CIA Auctions, again, Collector Investor Auctions, please go register to bid, browse the auction. And if there's nothing for you this month, they have the monthly auctions happening. They usually run from the 5th to the 15th, right and around there every single month. So go check them out, guys. Register to bid and support one of the other up-and-coming small businesses in the hobby. Oh, there's a Pedro rookie autograph. There's a Dave Winfield. There's a Leon Draisaitl on a Mantle and a McCovey and a Musial and just all sorts of it's an eclectic mix. It's an eclectic mix. So, guys, go check that out if you don't mind. All right. Any comments on that, David, before we...
I have a quick question. The card that always pops out at me, were you like a wrestling fan in the 80s? Were you a WWF fan at all?
I was early WWF. I was a fan of the AWA. You don't even...
Old school.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's when that's when I was watching wrestling.
So that Hulk Hogan rookie card doesn't do much for you, right?
No, it does something for me, but it also reminds me of walking around the National in like 2008 and seeing the little bags of that set for sale for like $7 for the whole set and thinking to myself, why would I want those wrestling cards? And now I wish I would have bought them out because they were so cheap back in the day. So yeah, they aren't anymore. But here, Michael Rader, that Hulk Hogan card is going for a fortune on CIA. Yeah, I think it was a PSA 8 holder on that one. So yeah, I don't remember what AWA stood for. Let's Go Jordan. And I don't think it was a Canadian. I mean, it was Baron von Raschke and the Iron Sheik and all these guys. I don't know if I'm the only one that
I
remembers.
know the
that.
Iron Sheik, but I don't know the other guy.
You don't know the Baron von Raschke? No? Okay.
Uh-uh.
Dan says, as a CIA consignor 2 months ago, they paid out literally within 24 hours. No exaggeration, 1 day. So they pay out before they receive payment. That's pretty cool. Oh, it was Rock Latex says it was Minneapolis territory, which makes sense since I grew up just north of Minnesota. So Macho Man. Yeah, absolutely. All right. We're going to switch gears a little bit, guys. We're going to bring out another commenter we've had in the chat here. Also, someone with his own YouTube channel and podcast, Joey. I'm bringing you out. You ready to go, buddy? He's ready to go. Everybody, please welcome Joey, Hoops Hobby Hangout, to Sports Cards Live. You've seen him in the chat. Here's our first time on screen. Welcome to the show. Say hi to David as well.
Thanks so much, Jeremy. Nice talking to you again. Thanks for inviting me to participate in the conversation, and nice to meet you, David.
Nice to meet you. Welcome.
And Joey, I was thinking about, why did you come on the show? Like, how did this come about? And I remembered after we chatted today that a few weeks ago, maybe as a month and a half ago, I had said to people, I said, listen, if you ever want to just have a conversation with me about the hobby, reach out and I'll send you a link to the studio. We'll meet in the meeting room, which looks just like this, and we'll get to know each other. I think you did that. I think that's how we came together. And You said, hey, love to have a conversation. And we did. It was great to meet you. And plus, I'd seen your name in the chat a lot. And as Dan says, Hoops Hobby Hangout, a great chatter, meaning not only is it when someone when Dan makes a comment like that, or I make a comment like that, what we mean is you are contributing to the community. You are not just running your own channel. You are here in the comments here on Sports Cards Live. Maybe you're on Greg on the live streams that he does and other lives as well, being a part of the community, bringing life to the shows. And so I'm grateful for that. It was nice to meet you and have our conversation and get to know you. And why don't we let the chat, the audience, the listeners on podcast get to know you a little bit as well. And why don't we just start with, like we did earlier in the evening with Nevin, with kind of your hobby history, what brings you from, collecting as a kid to here today in March of 2026?
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, thank you and Dan. Those are really kind words. But I'll try to be pretty brief. But I actually don't have much of a semblance of a significant sports card collecting history from my childhood. When I was a kid, I did have some collecting with my older brother. Like I remember setting out base sets on the floor in our house and putting them in number order and stuff of baseball cards. But the more, I guess, meaningful collecting part of my background is actually Yu-Gi-Oh! So I collected Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards and played with my brother and stuff like that. It wasn't until college when I, started making some level of meaningful money where I was like, well, I really like fantasy sports. I really like fantasy basketball specifically. And I have some money now. And of course, my first thought was, how can I waste it? So I started looking into kind of what I could do with it. And I think I came across the Blowout forums and started just reading about card collecting. And I've always been a basketball fan more than any other sport, although I'm also a baseball fan. And it just appealed to me. I mean, I remember as a kid cheering for the Cleveland Indians at the time and in the 90s, and later for the Sacramento Kings in the later 90s and early 2000s. And it just something about having a card that could kind of reignite or bring back those memories that I had watching those players or whatever. It appealed to me. So that's kind of when I started collecting. And as I was deciding where I wanted to go with it, I've focused on the Kings because they're kind of like my number one team, unfortunately. And so that's kind of where it went. And I started building a Kings PC. And as the years have gone on, I've tried to expand a little bit because I've tried to include other significant players from NBA history. I've tried to expand to the Indians and specifically Jose Ramirez, and set collecting specific basketball sets and things like that. I've pretty much been collecting since 2010. And then it was, probably, when after COVID, when the content boom kind of started happening, I think I gravitated towards a lot of the basketball card content. And I think recently, maybe a year or two ago, I felt like there might have been a little bit of a dearth in that arena. So I found the vintage baseball YouTube community, like you mentioned, like Greg Midlife and Dan with For Collectors and stuff. I found them, and I don't have a single vintage baseball card. I don't own a single one, and I probably watched hundreds of hours of their videos, which is really weird. But the appeal to the cards and the focus on the cards really is what drew me in. And I felt like that wasn't necessarily there in basketball cards, specifically modern basketball cards, which I collect. And so ultimately, oh, hey, Orlando, and Chris. So ultimately I went and one of the more influential podcasts for me was the Wax Museum podcast. It's a basketball card podcast by a guy named Kyle, a Pacers fan. And one of his things, the reason he started a podcast is he said, if you feel like there's content out there that you are looking for and you can't find it, then you probably should be making it. So that's what started his podcast. And that ultimately, it led to me starting a YouTube channel myself. I actually like the Hoops Hobby Hangout channel is kind of our group channel with me and a couple other guys, but my channel is Sacramento Kings Cards, and I'm Sac Kings Cards on Instagram. So I started doing some stuff there, and it was great. I just didn't feel like I had the capacity or time to be doing anything on any regular basis. And so the really honestly, the For Collectors channel inspired me to say, hey, what they do is a lot of conversations. I really loved the episodes that John 3D80s Kid does with the 5 cards that every collector should own. And so I thought, that doesn't seem like, if we do something similar but on a smaller scale, like it would be too crazy. I mean, we only do one video a week. It's just a live stream once a week. And the idea was, hey, basketball card collectors, this doesn't really, I think, exist out there for you. So let's try to do something like that. So, me and 3 other guys try to be on there every week, but it's kind of an open call, like Hobby Hotline is. Here's a QR code, here's a link. Anybody who wants to join can join. Here's the topic. Come hang out. People post things on social media because it's hard for people to always jump on a live, or maybe they don't want to. I think a lot of people also just don't want to. And so across, Instagram stories or posts, or people hanging out in the chat, or people jumping on the streams themselves, it's just a small little community of people that are mostly focused on modern basketball cards. And so we talk, we hang out, we discuss, whatever topics, and that's kind of, I don't know, where we are.
I love the approach of that you heard from Kyle from Wax Museum podcast about, if you're not finding what you want to listen to for the content, to go and create it. And you found some great inspiration from some great channels there. So that makes a lot of sense to me. David, what do you think about that? The origin story of the group Hoops Hobby Hangout, kind of just being inspired by other content and trying to do it. David, I have to say, even for you, I've seen people in comments say that, you would make a great channel person as well, but you like supporting channels, and you're going to be on here more and more. So, not to say don't do it, it'd be great as well. But seeing that Joey did that, and he's got some teammates, if you will, we'll talk a bit about that in a moment. But what's your initial feedback for him?
Well, the first thing that I thought of was when he said that he was a Yu-Gi-Oh collector. I was thinking, oh my gosh, we have hope with this Pokemon generation that they could possibly become sports people someday, right? I thought that was kind of a cool thought. But yeah, I think that it's very cool how you ended up getting into doing this and going in the chats. I started in the chats also. I don't really feel like I need to have my own channel. Listen, I have Jeremy Lee, I have Greg, I have people that are rock stars in this industry. And if I can contribute in any way to any of you guys, I'm very happy. But I really respect, the reason why is because I don't know if I have time, and I would be a complete psychopath trying to figure out how many viewers I have and things like that. Was that tough when you were starting out these channels to see such a small amount of viewers when you're starting out the channel? Like, is that ego crushing until you start building it?
Let's go to you, Joey, on that one.
It's a good question. It's funny. I actually was talking to a friend about this a couple weeks ago, and we do stream on YouTube and that, but we also kind of, one of our guys is an audio audio producer, and so he takes the audio and whatever and puts it out on Spotify, and we've never had a conversation about how many listens we've had on Spotify. Obviously YouTube is obvious because it's up there. So I think it's natural, right? I mean, it's your human nature to say, oh, I want more views or whatever. But, I think that we try our best to make it not about that, because I think that one of the things that I've mentioned at some point was, if there's not a single view, at least it's a hobby for us to be able to talk. And it's us hanging out. I mean, we initially had our first conversations about starting this right around last year's national. So the conversation we had was, you know what, we can't go to the national. I don't have it in me to leave my wife and 3 kids and spend thousands of dollars to go stay at the national. So let's have a hangout here, online, that we can do if we're not able to do those sorts of things. So I don't know if that's a long-winded way of answering your question, but it can be, I think. And definitely there are times when I'm like, oh, well, it doesn't really feel like we're going anywhere, but that's hopefully not our intention. And hopefully it doesn't discourage anything.
Yeah, good answer. And I think when you start, especially now, I mean, I was early, just like many other, some people go, it just depends when you come in, right? But now, I think if you are not too focused, to David's question, if you're thinking about starting a channel, you got a group, you want to do a weekly live stream, just do it. Like, don't worry about the quality at first, just get started, and don't worry about the views. Even if you have very few, if you're enjoying it, people will eventually gravitate there, and some will take a shine to you, and they'll come back every time you do it, or maybe they'll watch it later. The views can go up post live stream itself as well. So, but if you're doing it for yourself, like, to me, that's the best reason to do it, like you did, Joey, the way you started. So I think it's great. Are you a teacher?
I am.
You are. Another teacher in the hobby. Is Kyle from Wax Museum Podcast also another teacher? Greg, everybody's a teacher in this hobby, it seems like. Now you have your crew. I believe Steven here is part of your crew. Is that correct?
He is. Yeah. He's a little insider, a mole in there, but
he says, I heard Joey is a decent guy. This should be fun. How did you manage to build your crew, if you will? Because sometimes, like even myself, I started solo, and then, you kind of you add pieces every so often. Some people some people just add pieces right away. There's always different ways that these groups can form that do content together. How did you recruit or find the guys that you wanted to make content with?
I mean, ultimately, it was based on 2 things. I mean, first of all, we all had a relationship, I guess, to some degree via following each other on Instagram and commenting on each other's posts and whatever, sending each other messages. Like, I remember Steve had helped me with navigating purchasing cards from Card Hobby in the past before we had started doing this. So we all had some sort of relationship. Another guy, Adam, like him and I are in a Discord together where we just kind of share cards, and it's pretty small, stuff like that. So previous relationships, but I also was thinking it'd be nice to get an eclectic mix. So I kind of looked at, there's another team collector, a Nuggets collector that's on there. Steve is a player collector and a team collector. And the last guy, Adam, kind of just collects Hall of Fame and Legends. So I tried to get a lot of variety, but also people that I think ultimately with every person I was asking myself, who do I think focuses on the cards more than, like the value, the brand, the social media, your following and things like that. So that's kind of where it came from. And then it ended up being, I think one of the things that we've talked about is there's just not a good place to talk about basketball cards. I think baseball has a lot more. There's a lot more baseball card collectors that care about cards. I think basketball, that isn't quite as much the case. So, I think we had that in common, and it kind of just came together. Everyone was on board, so we did it.
Nice. Yeah, sounds like a good approach, and I'm glad you did. That's great. We have Josh Adams has joined us in the back room. You ready to go, buddy? You want to come join all right, let's bring Josh on the screen as well. Hello to Josh Adams, everybody. Hello.
Good evening, David, Jeremy, Joey. Lovely to meet you.
Good morning, or good evening. Nice to meet you.
Good evening. Thanks for joining, Josh. We're gonna continue on. Here, some more comments though, guys. Fresh prints of sports cards. Steve, who I got to meet at Burbank on Tuesday, says community is key. Yes, I think it is. And Joey and et al. Are growing community on Hoops Hobby Hangout. Midlife Greg says Joey is an incredibly important member of the community. And I just want to say, not to take anything away from Joey, but who isn't an incredibly important member of the community? I know that's a weird question to ask, because I just feel like almost everybody, there are some people I could do without. I'll be honest, probably we all have people we feel about that way about, but I don't want to take anything away from anybody else. There's lots of incredibly important, and not to take away from Greg's comment, because he's right. Barnett Collection, Joey, haven't caught one live yet, but love the Hoops Hobby Hangout for my drives to work. Good to see you on here. Isn't that nice? Thank you, Barnett Collection. Mr. Mano says, get some baseball vintage, Joey. It makes you all bubbly inside. Dan says, really appreciate the 4 collectors shout out, Joey. Thank you. And I believe the episode that I was talking about earlier where Theo was interviewing the guys from the Strongsville show, I think that was on the 4 Collectors YouTube channel as well. So another shout out for that channel. Steve and your buddy says, following along with content is a lot of content. Actively engaging with content creators is next level. Creating content is a significant commitment. Kudos to all the content creators. And Chris from Missouri says, just do it, baby. Just start a show, a YouTube channel. And by the way, Chris was supposed to join us tonight, but we were overscheduled, so he graciously has rescheduled. Chris will be joining us 2 weeks from now here on the show. Let's go, Jordan. See, teachers have a calm, chill way to talk. Shout out to Craig. And Diamond Mine Sports Card says, something, be the change you want to see in the world. I like that. Something, be the change you want to see in the world. Yankees fan says, I started watching Jay Lee at the beginning. Blink your eyes. It seems like 6 years have gone by. It's 6 years. It's crazy, Yankees fan. And proud to have you from the beginning. That's amazing. And Bob Boozle says, Jeremy locks me in community jail. Which Jeremy? Who are you talking about, Boozle? Who are you talking about? All right. No, it's good stuff. Fun stuff, Joey, what you're doing over there on Hoops Hobby Hangout. I'm glad you're doing it. And I'm sure you're going to build your community. And that's really what it's about, is enhancing your hobby experience, doing it with friends, making friends. It's like we're so lucky to make friends through this hobby. We would not know each other if it was not for this hobby. Like, we're the luckiest community out there. Like, everyone's nodding. Everyone's nodding except Josh is falling asleep. Everyone's nodding along.
I was at a card show for 12 hours today, so, I was busy.
I love it. Michael Rader says the hobby community is perfect for anyone who loves collecting. Yeah, absolutely. Now, guys, I did say to Joey, I said, hey, if you have a topic you want to bring to the show, and Chris Hoge, by the way, was a late cancellation, car trouble, something like that. So we lose him again. I know, Josh, I know, but he'll be back next week. So I said to Joey, car trouble. I said to Joey, could you, if you have a topic you want to bring, do it. So I'm going to ask you now. And I know you sent me a text earlier on the show. I haven't had a chance to see it, but you have one. Why don't you present it? I'm ready. We're ready.
Sure. And to be fair, I have a list, and I shared it with the guys before we started, like, of 100 and something things that I would love to talk about card related. So that's kind of what we're going through, hopefully, as we do our show. But the question I had, I was watching the Hobby Hotline today. They were talking about how card shows are more crowded than they've ever been. And I don't know, Josh, if that's what you saw today at your show.
Massive. It was packed. You couldn't get through the alleyways. What do you call them? The walkways. It was so busy there.
Yeah. And then I was reading some blowout threads today about essentially their observations at card shows and things like that. And the observations were a couple, and effectively it was that everyone from the dealers to the 10-year-old kid that's digging through dime boxes is looking for cards that they could find potential growth on, either flipping growth or long-term growth. And then in one of the Otani threads on Blowout, there was somebody who shared a second-year Rookie Cup base card, and the response was pretty much, why are you sharing this? Do you think that this can go up in value later? Do you think that this is worth anything? Essentially, that was the response. And so there was some conversation about what collecting was like in the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s. So my question, and I wasn't collecting sports cards until 2010. So my question is collecting for like respective groups, I guess, for adults versus kids versus whatever, how has that changed? Or is it different now than it was in previous decades? And I guess if so, how? And then what role does social media or, the proliferation of social media followings and influencers, what role does that play, if any? I'll leave it there because I've talked for like 3 minutes, but how is it different, and what role do those things play?
It's a good question. I think you're really tapping into like the evolution of the hobby, and it has evolved from the early days, like the vintage days, like up until the 80s or so, when it was just about completing sets or getting your favorite player's card and not caring about the condition. That to me is what it was like for me up until the mid to late 80s, when I saw the first Beckett price guide come out. And then I'm like, oh, my Steve Yzerman card that I thought was worth 25 cents is actually booking at $60. And I thought that was a pretty cool sort of evolution or change to the way that you would look at things. I didn't look at them as money. I looked at them as a quest. I wanted to complete the sets. And now, and I will get guys, think about your answers. I want to get David and Josh's thoughts on this too. And so does Joey. Want to hear from you guys as well. Nowadays, and I say this a lot, Joey, you've probably heard me say it. The other guys probably have too. But nowadays, because cards are so much more expensive, not all of them, you can still buy cheaper cards, but a lot of us like cards that are expensive. And I still say, if I buy a card that's going to cost, there's a threshold I have, and that threshold can move. It's a dollar figure. Sometimes it's $200, sometimes it's $500. Depends how confident I'm feeling in the economy. Depends how much money I'm making at the time in my job, over the past 40 years or whatever. And once I hit a certain level, it's like I myself force myself to think about exiting that card and what the money's going to be down the road. Will it at least store the value? Will it at least store the value and keep up with inflation? And some cards I don't care. Like I say, I am not a slave to the checklist. I don't collect sets anymore, but there's a grandfathered set that I do still collect. It's a parallel set. It's from 2014 Upper Deck Masterpieces. It's a hockey set. It's 153 cards. And I hadn't found a single card for the set in like 2.5 years. And just this week, 2 arrived that I saw listed on eBay. And I was ecstatic with it. And I bought the 2 cards. Here they are. These are the 2 cards. They have pieces of game use memorabilia in them. Stick pieces in this case. That's Yari Curry and Zdeno Chara right here. It took me over 10 years to find these 2 cards. It's 153 cards. I now need 7 more, 6 or 7 more to complete the set. Why I'm telling you all this is because I just bought these 2 cards. They cost me $100 combined to land these 2 cards. I don't think I'll ever get my money out of these 2 cards. I don't care. I collected them for the quest. I love the way they look. I think they're beautiful. All those things. I still have a bit of set collector in me, even though I don't want to be a slave to a checklist anymore. So I don't know if that answers the question, but there's a lot there, and that's kind of what like the value doesn't matter in some cases. In some cases it does. Some cards fulfill different needs. I'm in so many lanes. I think a lot of us are in many different lanes. Some people are in one lane. I said recently, like, I couldn't imagine being a player collector who only collects one player. I don't get, like, that doesn't reconcile in my mind as a hobby approach that I can get my head around. I don't disrespect it or look down on it at all. It just would not work for me. If it works for you, like, you're lucky you found what works for you, and what I do wouldn't work for you. So lots there. That's what comes to mind based on what you presented, Joey. Do you have any kind of feedback on anything I just said before we go to the other guys?
I think the one thing that comes to mind is you were saying that you like collected sets and stuff when you were younger, and you said that now things are more expensive. And I think that what is advertised, I guess, when it comes to cards is the values more than they were probably in the past. So I wonder, like, whether the fact that values maybe are a little more emphasized than they were 30 or 40 years ago, whether that'll affect, does it matter? Does it matter for that 10-year-old that is going to be 40 in 30 years? Does that matter for that person? Does it matter for the hobby as a whole? I mean, I guess it doesn't have to matter for us as individuals, but I don't know. It's just that's my initial thought.
Yeah, I think it does. I think young people want nice things. They will always want things that are nicer than what they have. People always say, "Oh, there are lower priced products for kids." Yeah, but kids want the shiny things too, right? As soon as they realize they exist, they don't want the cheap stuff. They want the expensive stuff. That's something that the hobby is going to have to figure out. And luckily, there are kids enjoying the hobby, not just with kabooms and color blasts and all downtowns and all these things. They are out there, and they're going back in time and collecting. There are some out there. So hopefully that makes it healthy. You also talked a bit about social media and like the era of the, I last week or a couple weeks ago, I said like the influencer, we got to get that name back. And someone said it's not influencing, it's inspiring, which I love that way of mentioning it. We're in the era of inspiration, because anyone can inspire anybody just by having an Instagram or a Twitter account or whatever. And I think that those are having a big impact on people. They've had a big impact on my collection. I'm always discovering new cards and being inspired by other collectors, not influencers, but literally collectors without YouTube channels or tens of thousands, never mind millions of followers. So that's what I think. I might have misinterpreted your original question as I was multitasking, but that's kind of what came to mind. But let's go. David, Josh, either of you, I'll go to you, David, first. How do you respond?
So there's a couple of parts of the question. The first part that you were, I think, talking about where you were saying collectors and flippers, right? I'm part of the vintage crew a little bit, and there's a pool of flippers, but most of the people that I run into at card shows are collectors. You know, they might sell their cards to sometimes get into a different kind of card, or they sometimes change paths. But I really think that most people I run into are collectors in the vintage. I think modern probably has a little bit more of that younger mentality of trying to flip cards, which I completely understand. For the difference between back in the day, when I was a young one, back a long time ago, when I was collecting cards, price still did matter. You know, even though I collected for the love of it, that Beckett coming out was a very exciting day. You know, I would go to my rated rookie every single time, and that was my one. Now, I wasn't like, spending hundreds of dollars on cards, but still, we were thinking about price at that time. But the difference with today's market is liquidity, right? You can now find almost any card you're looking for, and you can sell your cards. And back in the day, when I had to sell a card, I'd have to ride my bike to the baseball card shop, and they would give me maybe 50% of the value of my card. Nowadays, I mean, you're getting a much higher percentage on your card, which is allowing you to sometimes make your collection into a much better situation without losing a large percentage when you sell.
What do you think, Joey? Any comments on David's comments?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I read that too about the 90s and the Beckett price guides, where people were commenting that kids would have their price guides and think that they're base rookie cards were their brokerage account and whatever they were, working on growing the value of. So in that sense, I definitely think that it sounds like there's similarities to today for sure.
Josh, where do you fall in this discussion?
I mean, I don't know about you, but I read Beckett for the articles. Anyway, thank you. I was sitting on that one for a while.
That's a good one.
I mean, I see.
David just caught it. David just caught that.
Thank you. So
took me an extra second, but yeah,
it's all right. It's late. It's like, well, it's early by you. You're 2 hours behind us. You have no excuse. All right. So I'm just kidding.
Oh,
so,
hold on.
I'm not Chris Hoge. I'm not as smart. Sorry.
Hold on one sec, Josh. Hold that thought because it's funny. I just want to shout out Adam Gray when he started the basketball magazine that he had for a while. He was always focused on having a centerfold in there that would be like, I think it would be like sports card like porn in a way, like just sports card stuff. And I think it was sort of inspired by what you'd find in the old centerfolds in the old Playboy magazine back in the day, which was the funny part about Josh's comments saying I read Beckett for the articles for anyone else who didn't pick up on that, but I did. Maybe that's just my mind. Okay, I'm sorry, Josh. Back to you.
All right. So, when we were younger, we collected like players we liked. I still build sets, but we weren't thinking on growth. But we definitely looked at Beckett and be like, "Oh, this card's $10 now," and your card's $5. Can't swear on the show, but Jay Lee's all just well, it's it when you see it. So, but like now, like at the show today, it was crowded, but like every single kid there had his little Zion case and had his little phone with his little app looking at prices. I mean, they're not collectors. Like, come on. Like, they're not. They're looking to flip stuff. And there is no long-term sustainability in the hobby if everyone is that. There's got to be an end user. If there's no end user, you're just swapping the same thing back and forth, and it's a waste of time. The vintage guys, I will tell you, Dave is 100% right. The more people come up with vintage stuff are not flippers. But the problem is the way that the hobby is marketed to kids now, it's gambling and it's just like fast money and it's just not collecting. And maybe I'm like an old person now, but back in my day, like David said, we were, you bought cards, but also there was no social media back in our day. And if there was, we'd probably be the same way. So, it's a double-edged sword. I don't like social media, but it's also helpful. So I don't know. It's a very complicated question.
I agree with you, Josh. And one thing you were talking about, if it's and to Joey's question, like if everyone's just buying cards to flip them, then you're right, Josh. That's not collecting. That's dealing. That's just doing it for profit. Maybe you don't have a PC. Often they don't have PCs. I'm guessing. Sometimes I think some of these guys do evolve into collectors as well. Now they start, I really like this one. I want to keep this one. Hopefully they do become collectors. But for any card to have value, people have to be willing to sit on them for a long time. Take them off the market. Take them out of the float. That's how
the vortex. Right.
Take them out of the flipper's vortex. Exactly.
That's right.
Otherwise, it's a game of hot potato, literally. And it feels like a bit of a pyramid scheme at that point as well. Like it's just not I don't think it's feasible that it's going to last for a long time. If that's the case, luckily there are more collectors out there than Instagram would and YouTube would have you believe, because all you see is the content that gets a lot of clicks. The king of the cards and the Roth cards and the Mary Gambles, they're out there showing this content that people love to watch. When I say people, I think I genuinely believe that most of their audiences are young. And by young, I mean, I don't know how young it gets, like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, up to like 25, maybe 30. But I think their core demographic is like that 16 to 25 age range. There's a lot of people like in that age range that have phones that are trying to find ways to make money because maybe they don't want to go to college. Maybe they can't afford it. So they're trying to find these things. And that is a big component of the hobby. And it's a big component of the visual hobby that people see when they turn on their phones or their YouTube on their computers and that sort of thing. So, but you have to understand, and people like to deny this, the hobby is so much bigger than that. There are so many collectors. I remember sitting at Burbank Sports Cards on Tuesday, seeing people in that middle section. I forget what Rob calls it, the pit or something like that. And there were just people going through cards that were like under $1, just looking to, I don't know, maybe they were looking to flip them. I don't know for sure. They looked like collectors. I've been to the last 2 card shows I've been to with my binders, selling to collectors, player collectors that are not, they're not even arguing. Like, I'm just saying, okay, $1, $3, they're not arguing. They're just buying the cards. They want to find cards to collect, check, cross them off their list. There's more of that out there than social media would have you perceive. Joey, what do you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. There are probably way more collectors that they just don't have a need to go online and have a presence in the card community. But when you were mentioning all the shows and the big YouTube accounts that get tens of thousands of views that are pushing the profitability potential in the hobby, and Josh, you were mentioning the gambling that Fanatics is advertising, stuff like that, and the quick buck. Would you guys agree then that means that probably a high percentage of new participants in the card community are probably looking for the profit over the cards? And then if that's so, there's got to be a tipping point then, right? I mean,
for sure.
And what's that going to look like? I don't know.
Yeah, it's scary in a way, right? If new entrants to the hobby are only coming in to make money in the hobby because they see all this flipping going on YouTube and Instagram and TikTok, and they want to get their piece of the action, then we can't rely on them. We, being the hobby, the greater hobby, the longevity of the hobby, cannot rely on that demographic. But I will say, hopefully, of the thousands of people that they are bringing into the hobby, a percentage of that group will be collectors. I mean, we became collectors on this screen. We are collectors. We love owning cards. Do we buy and sell sometimes too? Of course. I say of course because I know who I'm talking to. I don't know about you as much, Joey, but I know that David, John, we sell to buy more cards. Maybe not to earn a living like some people, like many people do. And we need people always talk about Ash and even Leighton. I mean, these people are in the hobby, running businesses, feeding their family that way. But God bless them for bringing the cards to us, to the card shows, for finding homes for cards. Cards need homes. And if they just never move around, not everybody is willing to travel to a card show. No, they will just find somebody who's willing to buy the cards, sell them to them for a discount so they don't have to do the work, let someone else do the work, and make the profit to compensate them for their time and effort and resources. Makes a ton of sense to me when I think about it that way. David.
I do think that there's going to be a point where we get washed out, right? There's going to be a point where sports cards go down in value. Is it 10 years from now or is it a year from now, right? But they will go, and I'm talking about pretty much in general. I'm not talking about every vintage card or anything like that. But it's interesting to think how you as a collector are going to change when that does happen, right? I know that I have a feeling all 4 of us will probably still be in the hobby if there is a decrease by a significant amount in the values of cards. But it's interesting to think how you're going to change. And I do think that the modern side is going to get hit the hardest, right, when that does happen. But it is kind of an interesting thought of how your collecting would change if there was a 50% drop of value in your card collection.
I'd buy so much. Oh, sorry. Go on, Joey. Sorry.
No. David, I mean, a dose of reality there, really, and sometimes we need it. But yeah, the hobby has always been cyclical. It will continue to be cyclical. Like, we're riding high right now. It's not going to last forever. It just won't. So you just got to kind of understand that and be prepared and make sure that you are, I don't know if the word is diversified, or just understand your risk tolerance, just like with any sort of investing. If you are putting money that is significant into this, if you are not, it doesn't matter. If you don't care about the value, then it doesn't matter to you. You'll collect until you die. You'll be gone, and that'll be it. You lived a great life fulfilled by collecting. That's awesome. Like, it's wonderful. Josh, jump in. We're going to there's lots of good comments I want to get to, but let's go to you first.
I mean, no one believes me when I say this. I really don't care if my cards go down 50% because the money's already spent. So who cares? And if it goes down 50%, big deal. I'm not going to sell it. If it goes up 50%, big deal. I'm not going to sell it. If it went down 50%, I could fill so many more sets. So if anyone's watching, hopefully 1935 Chickles go down 50% and 48 Leafs don't take a huge dive in the next, 13 to 26 weeks would be great.
Let's go, let's go. Jordan just made the same comment. I buy so much more if there's a 50% dip, or let's just call it a sale. David, do you want? Yeah, go ahead, David.
Yeah, because I've been thinking about this kind of thing. The way that my collecting, I think, would change is that I think I'd be pickier, right? Because right now I'm able to sell when I buy a card, and if it's not exactly the way that I like it and it's fine for a placeholder, I kind of flip it, right? And not flip it, but I sometimes exchange it for a better copy for myself. And I think that I'd be a little bit more patient knowing that if I sold a card, I'd get a lot less than what I paid for it, possibly.
Sometimes we just don't want to lock in the losses, right? Sometimes we just want to keep the card instead of taking the loss. And hey, if you bought the card with intention at the beginning, then why would you lock in a loss? If the card's gone down in value, you still want to own it. Josh, you're on mute, but go ahead.
It's only a loss if you sell it. So,
It's true. Some people don't really understand. Like there's two kinds. There's realized losses and unrealized losses. I'm just saying, just to think like the accountant that I truly am, you can, if you were to sell it, you would realize that loss, but unrealized losses can often turn course and become gains down the road. This happens all the time. Okay, let's do some comments. Joey, we had you until right about now, but this is your topic. We got comments coming in. Are you able to stay for a little bit more?
Yep.
Okay, so let's go to the comments, guys, from the chat. Thank you, everybody, for the great commentary tonight from our wonderful Sports Cards Live community, which I don't even love calling it Sports Cards Live community because we're a part of a bigger community than just here. But here's where we congregate on Saturday, so I call it that for that reason. Darren says, car trouble. Chris, doesn't he realize he didn't have to drive to Canada to do the show? Very good. Let's go. Jordan says, so many people I saw today in Rosemont, which is where the Chicago Spectacular was, were a father and son. Speaks a bit to Joey's topic. Josh is saying, yeah, I saw the same thing. That's great to see. And it's not really a but. However, I guess some of those father-son tandems will be there to flip and make a living to put the kid through college. Some will be there for the love of the hobby. Josh, did you see anything that tipped you one way or the other?
Well, I had my oldest with me, so I was able to walk around with him, and he likes going. He loves football, and he likes Jamar Gibbs for some reason, so he's looking for Jamar Gibbs cards and just looking. He had money saved up. He was excited, and he likes soccer, so it was a fun time. I saw other fathers and sons buying stuff together. Like there were a lot of Denver Broncos players there for some reason, so I saw a lot of Denver Bronco father and son collecting teams walking around looking for stuff. So It was pretty cool. I'm sorry cool. I missed Let's Go Jordan 10. I took a lunch break, so
that's okay.
We just passed each other. Yeah.
Oh, too bad.
Yeah.
Chris C says one should never be ashamed for something they like to collect, regardless of value. I love second-year cup cards also. So I mean, if you've been listening to me at all for the last few months, I love second-year cards, non-rookies. I love that stuff. Curmudgeon says I love rookie cup cards also. Second-year cards are terrific. Skeppy says if you can't find value and joy in owning a card that is unique to you, then you have lost your way or haven't found your way in this hobby. Fair. Rock Latex. Most kids can't stay at a dime quarter dollar box for more than 2 minutes. Their brains lack a fully developed prefrontal cortex. Diamond Mine says, don't want to get caught up in values. Just pay 2x comps like me. Then you don't have to worry because you're underwater on everything. Get to be both happy and broke. Chris says, I agree, Jeremy. When I buy a card, I don't have anything but the fact that I want the card in my mind. I don't care about appreciation. If something goes up long-term, great, but that's not the main goal. Absolutely. Hi, Pop Professor. Brian says, I'd be curious to interview some of these younger kids at a show and ask them what their focus or their hobby goals are To which Diamond Mine responds, I think most of them would list their goals as get rich or die trying. That was a good exchange in the chat. Foul Ball says, I had to do chores to get cards, and I still do. What he's saying is, I work for a living, so I can make money to buy cards to fill my sets. And I saw Foul Ball buying boxes like the white boxes to store his vast collection in when he was on his way out of Burbank on Tuesday. He also says today's kids are spoiled. Not all, but many of them are. Jeremy from California says these kids will grow up and have life events that will make them want to have nostalgia. They will be just like us one day. I kind of want to pause on that one because that's a very optimistic comment that seems to be rooted in logic when I read it. Because we all have nostalgia for these things. I'm driven by it, not completely, but it's a big part of why I collect. I have nostalgia for the hobby as well as for the players and the cards and the teams. I have hobby nostalgia. How many? Put your hand up on the screen if you have hobby nostalgia, not just nostalgia for, I don't know, players and yeah. Joey, you're not raising your hand.
I mean, if we're talking strictly hobby nostalgia, I was an adult when I started collecting. I don't know if it would count that, that I collect cards because of a nostalgia for them when I was a kid or something.
No, I love it. And maybe you will get there in the future, like 20 years from now. Maybe you'll look back to the starting in 2010, starting your podcast in the 2020s, and you'll be like, yeah, I have nostalgia for the cards we were talking about back then. And that I want to collect my history in a way. That's why I collect unopened packs. I don't have the issue of wanting to open them. I don't care. I don't care about opening them. I at all. Never have been tempted to open my unopened pack collection. But to me, that's hobby nostalgia. I love it. And a lot of people do. I mean, Bobby Burrell has, his whole passion is about documenting the history of the hobby. It's not new. I know I'm not alone in that. I'm sure of the 10 comments that I haven't read yet, there's people talking about that. So great comment from Jeremy from California. Rob Star says, these adolescent hobbyists would all be tycoons on the hobby spectrum. To which Chris C says, I'm not a tycoon, I'm a purist, but I'm aware that all archetypes are needed. Without sellers, we would have no buyers. I rarely sell, but I'm grateful to those that do. Me too. Listen, the flippers, the dealers, the vendors, they all have a space in the hobby. And dare I say, the repackers, what happens if they disappeared right now? I don't know. A lot of people would be happy. We might get that 50% discount if the repackers disappeared. Curmudgeon says collectors cannot and shouldn't rely on pure flippers for anything. They are fad profiteers versus collectors. Downturns will weed them out. That's true. Downturns will weed them out. Chrissy says the grifters will come and go. I've been in this hobby for over 30 years. Everything is cyclical, peaks and valleys. Absolutely. Hello, Colin Murray. Welcome to the show. And Ben Burrow says, I like this. I'm pretty diversified. Half my collection is stuff probably no one else wants, and the other half is stuff definitely no one else wants. What do you collect, Ben Burrows, if your collection is that undesirable to the rest of the hobby? Couple more comments that have come up here. Darren, rounding the corners with Darren, says, why the assumption it will go down? Long term, hasn't there always been a steady increase for decades, like the Dow Jones Index, ups and downs, but slow, steady increase? Darren, I think that applies to vintage. I do, but I don't see Zion Williamson cards slowly going up from their start of 80 grand for an NT RPA. I mean, obviously I'm cherry picking something there, but I think things will go down and then they will go up again. But the modern hobby, we're not seeing Todd Van Poppel rookies go up anymore. Chipper Jones rookie. I mean, he's a Hall of Famer. Even Chipper Jones rookies. No one cares about his upper deck rookie card. You can buy one for less than the price of shipping. So it's situational, right? It doesn't apply to all cards, all these conversations all the time. Diamond Mine,
even some 80s Hall of Famers, even some of the greatest players of all time from the 80s.
Something's wrong with David's connection right now. Okay, David, we're gonna go on. Sorry, David, your connection's a little choppy. Diamond Mine says, as a longtime listener, first-time caller, thanks for letting me menace the chat. Yeah, absolutely, Diamond Mine. You seem familiar, so welcome in here. Absolutely. Let's go, Jordan. My collecting now is the bond with my kid. I enjoy the cards as nostalgia, but money can buy lots of things. The bond of sports with the son is special. Love that. Like my little guy just turned 7. Loves basketball, loves playing basketball. We were out on the driveway playing the other day. He's dribbling with one hand. I'm like, where'd you learn this? Well, his unit and phys ed at school, they're playing basketball. Yeah, when I told him I was at the basketball game, like he wants to go to a basketball game. Love it. I can't wait to collect with my kids as well. We'll see if both of them want to get into it. Dan says, I'm so old, I have nostalgia for having nostalgia. That's funny. That's a good one, Dan. Let's go, Jordan. Depends on player, on stock. Have any Kodak stock? Right. Even stocks don't last forever. Yeah, it's situational. Good call out there, LGJ. Chris says, Dan, just say you're well seasoned, not old. Ben Burrows, people aren't banging down the door to buy my Syracuse collection. That's what he collects. And Dime 4129, my big hunt at shows is to have an 85 Mario Lemieux rookie to go with my hand-signed Jagger. Very cool, Dime. You'll find one. Not a rare card. Okay. Who's got David? Can we hear you now? What were you trying to say before?
I was just going to say when we were talking about the increase in value of cards, the cards that I grew up, even the big Hall of Famers. Can you hear me now? Even the big Hall of Famers like the Cal Ripkens of the world, Wade Boggs, right? Some of these great Hall of Famers. I don't know. You're talking about PSA 10s, but aren't those cards pretty much the price or maybe even a little less than it was? Seems like it to me if you're buying like medium to low grades.
I think about a Jose Canseco 86 Donruss rookie card. That was the card to own in, I don't know what year it was, 88, 89, something like that. I've told the story before, but I traded away a car stereo. Remember when car stereos were like, you put them into your dash, and as you left the car, you took it out with you, and you it came with a handle, and you'd walk around the mall with your car radio as almost like a bit of a status symbol. I traded one of those away. It was an in-dash CD, like a car CD player. It had the cassette on the wire that you'd put into the cassette player, and the CD player would skip on your console sort of thing. Anyway, I traded one of those away for a Jose Canseco rookie card. I think we had like $110 value on the trade. Now, how much would it cost me to go buy a raw, mind you, 1986 Donruss Jose Canseco rookie? I'm guessing I could find one for about $25 at a card show in a value box sort of thing. So that has gone down in value because there's so many other things people want to buy in. What have you done for me lately, Jose Canseco? Right? So yeah, it's interesting. Diamond Mine. Okay, a couple more comments. We're going to start to wrap this one up, guys. Diamond Mine says, crapping on Chipper Jones rookie cards. He's a 90s guy, which means his rookie cards are irrelevant. It's all about those rare parallels and inserts. Yeah, absolutely it is. Wasn't crapping on it, just calling out the reality of it. That's not crapping on it. That's just calling out reality, but it's the truth. Most of the cards in the junk wax era are stagnant. Well, hey, that's fair, and that's because there were so many of them. And guys, they're making so many cards again today. The only way that they're going to have a different fate than the cards of the 90s did is if Fanatics at all can grow the hobby 10 times and people stay in it for the next 20, 30, 40 years. There were so many people in the hobby in the 90s, and as soon as the junk wax era busted in like 93, they were all gone. Like 90% of those people were gone because everybody in the early 90s was collecting sports cards. Like everybody were collecting sports cards. So, David?
And do you think that they're producing more cards now than they were in 1990?
I mean, I don't know. Josh, you're nodding. I mean, I don't know for sure, David, what I think. I don't know. Probably.
There's like a million more different types of cards now. There's like a million different, like, I don't even know the names of most of them. You had Topps. What do you have? Topps score in like Bowman, like in 93. Now you've got like, I don't even know the names of them, like Optic Hollow Refractor Zebra, whatever. Like there's a million things.
A million.
Yeah.
There's a million of them. You're right. It's not like in the 90s where they were just printing the Ken Griffey Jr. or the Eric Lindros from Scorecard. They were printing millions of these things, or however many it was. Now they're just producing a million cards, but they come in 10 different shades or animal patterns or whatever. Or there's tacos on them now, Joey.
But one perspective is that could be a good thing, because then you just can find the one you like, and it's super cheap because there's so many and it's so diluted that you can just really focus on what appeals to you.
Absolutely. And you can kind of carve out a bit of a collection identity that is different than everybody else on the street who has to collect the same thing because that's all there is. So I completely agree. If you can find that, hopefully people will find that parallel that they like, then they go for that, and hopefully there's longevity and lineage that continues in the hobby so that people can continue to buy that. I remember hearing just a month ago or so, I think Stadium Club, they took away a feature of Stadium Club baseball the collectors loved, and man, did they vent publicly about this change to Stadium Club. Like, you're nodding, you probably heard a bit of, I don't know much about what that was, but they were upset. They were upset about it, and as they should be. No one, it's like, I don't say no one, but are the people making these decisions at Topps and Fanatics, are they consulting the collectors to see what they want, or are they just going by the salespeople? Because I know that the card companies often listen to their sales team, who is out there talking to card shop owners and now breaking companies as well to find out what's hot. But doesn't always mean that that's what's always going to stay hot, and that people don't want other things too. And you can alienate collectors by dropping something that they love. Maybe the people just have to be louder about what it is that they love. I don't know, but good comments, guys. Good comments. And there's more in the chat, so I want to run through those, guys. Are you guys good to kind of wrap up this episode in a few minutes here after we do comments? Yeah. And if you have anything any of you want to add, just like, you've been doing great, just put your finger up for me so I see it, and I'll definitely come to you guys as well. But a few comments here. Sports Card Reverie said, nostalgia is a natural phenomenon for collectors. I got tired of collecting the 70s cards from my youth. Curiosity led to taking a small step into vintage, which eventually led to more and more larger steps. So I think that's the way people evolve in the hobby for sure. Thank you for that comment. Rounding the corners with Darren, maybe my mindset of the expected growth comes from my collecting of Jordan, Ruth Brady, and vintage baseball legends. Goats will rise. Yes, I think that's Darren. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on that. Yes. I think there's like blue chip investments in our hobby. There are. And then there is completely risky investments in our hobby. Like the most recent hottest rookie is very risky. Blue chip investing is likely going to result in slower, but overall stronger growth in time. But you can get lucky with the rookie as well. It does happen. Look at Shohei. It does happen. Look at Aaron Judge. It does happen. Macklin Celebrini this kid is on fire. A Dime says, even with the mass printing now, anything numbered out of 100 is worth keeping, minus Future Watch autos, which is a hockey reference. Chris C says, Fanatics wants to 10x their profits, not the hobby. It's a junk parallel, junk slab era now, in my opinion. I agree. It is a junk parallel and junk slab era that we are in right now. And I also agree the Fanatics wants to 10x their profits. But I don't think it's not the hobby. I think those come together. I think those are somewhat married together. And no doubt that every company out there wants to 10x their profits. They are not alone, or they're not alone in that. Dime says, the real question is, how do you guys feel about Topps ever getting back into hockey? I don't think it's really going to happen, but I would love to see some certain Topps hockey sets. Absolutely. I would love it. I don't think it's happening though. Like 20 years, maybe, if that. Okay. Mr. Manos, though, is just me, or in every corner of my sphere, I get people collecting. That's good. Yeah. Grow the hobby one hobbyist at a time, right? We can be out there growing the hobby on our own. I think a lot of us do. We may not even realize it, but I think once we realized we being veteran collectors, even you, Joey, is 15 years in. You're a veteran. Once collectors who thought it was embarrassing realize that collecting is not embarrassing, it's kind of cool. Actually, we joke around, call ourselves cardboard nerds. I do anyway. I don't think I'm a nerd. I think collecting is freaking cool. I think sports cards are the coolest things ever. And I will tell, and don't smirk at me, Josh. You do too. I think collecting cards is very cool. I just do. I'm not BSing you guys. Everyone's laughing at me right now. Like, what do you? I think cards are cool. I think they're the coolest things ever, guys. And once you realize that for yourself, you'll talk about it more and you'll tell people about it. And the fact that you don't present what your hobby is with any aura of embarrassment, people will be like, oh, maybe, like, with some confidence, maybe people will buy into your passion and say, tell me more. It happens to me all the time. So why were you laughing? Okay, David, back to you. Final comments of the night. By the way, we're going to wrap this up after this final discussion. Why were you laughing? And thank you for joining. And final comments of the night.
Yeah, thank you for having me. So the only reason why I was laughing is because 99% of my friends are not hobby people. And I always start out the conversation saying, all right, let me tell you this nerdy that I'm dealing with, right? I talk myself down. So maybe you're right, Jeremy. Maybe I need to be, talking about this as the cool way of doing it. But I feel like it's just a self-deprecating, fun way to kind of talk about the hobby. And that's literally the way I do it. So that's why it resonated with me. Thank you for having me on the show, by the way.
Absolutely, buddy. I hear you. And the other thing, though, is that once you talk about it, people actually, like, in my world anyway, they're like, I think it's cool too. Because I do that. I can be that self-deprecating approach as well. But they're like, no, I'm like, do you want me to keep talking about this? Like, yeah, I think it's cool. So, okay, great. I'm going to keep talking about it because it is cool. I'm glad you're cluing into it. Josh, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, it's okay that it's not cool. That's why I like it, because it's not cool. I'm not a cool guy, so I don't do cool things. So that's fine. And that's fine with me. And I like that. And I accept that. And all my friends know I collect cards. Like, how's your sticker collection? I'm like, it's great. I love it. It's fun. Yeah, but then they're seeing these headlines for $5.2 million. Well, and 13 million. No, but they are. They're seeing King of Collectibles on Netflix, and they're now they get even more interested because they associate that it might be cool because it's worth a lot of money, right? So the financial value might make it a bit cooler in their eyes. But then I say to them, yeah, but you got to collect what you like. You gotta buy cards that mean something to you. If you're just in it for the money, you're probably not going to last very long, right?
Or as long as others. Joey, how about you?
I also appreciate obviously you having me here, but I was going to say the same thing. I am totally a nerd, a self-proclaimed nerd, and I'm cool with that. I don't mind. Actually, I feel like when I use the word nerd in a card context, it's in a positive way, right? It's a positive connotation. I mean, I like to nerd out about cards. I like to look at how they're designed and how they're put together and the different combination of sets. I mean, I don't think that has to be a negative connotation. So
that's the thing. When I said I'm not a nerd, I guess, and I kind of am, but I mean, I guess what I mean is that the word nerd is like nerds are, being a nerd is cool now. I think it's cool. I think you're all cool in your nerdy ways. Yeah, I just love it. So thank you, Darren, it says thanks for another great episode to me and all the guests. Thank you. Jeremy from California says, Jay Lee, you are a badass and sports cards are a lifestyle. Absolutely, Jeremy from California. I like that comment. I've never been called that before here on the channel, but I will take it. Dan's Vintage says, Josh, you are a cool guy for a lawyer. To expend Burrow's asterisks for a lawyer, because for a lawyer, that's good. Let's go, Jordan. My friends say we spend too much time on this stuff and could be making more money.
That's
well, but I mean, have a hobby. I mean, it's a hobby.
It's fun.
Yeah, I don't know. Who cares what your friends say? Really, I mean, You know what I mean. You can care, you can not care. Revenge of the Nerds, Chrissy. Yeah, the main guy just passed away the other day. Actually, can't think of his name. The main nerd from Revenge of the Nerds.
Carradine.
Who?
His name Carradine, right? Robert Carradine.
Yes, Robert.
Yep.
Exactly. He just passed away.
Lewis. Yeah, Lewis died. It's
He
terrible.
died. You heard?
Of course. It's all over
Yeah.
the news.
Very sad.
It was
Very
after
sad.
the 5.3 Aaron Judge news story was about Robert Carradine. I'm just kidding around.
Dime says, being a fan of something and having a plan to be fully informed when you head on your way, I fully support it. Appreciate that. Ben Burrows again brings up me saying, oh, here okay, Ben Burrows is keeping tabs on my language, guys. He says, Jay Lee says porn and ass in one show. This has really gone downhill.
Who's this guy?
Yes, I have. Thank you, Laura. Says another exceptional, entertaining evening. Appreciate that, Laura. Mr. Mano says, we rock. Simple as that. Absolutely. Michael Rader, fantastic show. Thank you very much. Cheers to Curmudgeon. Appreciate that. Let's go, Jordan. The Friends hobby is making money. Okay, we're just going to keep going. Rob Starr, thanks, Jay Lee. Great. Okay, thanks, everybody. Great show. Appreciate everybody who's joined us. Want to shout out again Joe Poirot for kicking us off tonight. Nevin Burn for coming on, talking about his 1966 tops, his collecting journey. Leighton Sheldon, David Chase, Joey Almazri from Hobby Hoops Collectible, and Josh Adams, Midwest Vintage. Yes. No, it's his son. Robert Carradine's son is the one who died.
Right.
David, right? Yeah, not Robert.
David, sorry. Right.
It was his son. It was his son. Guys, I don't know. Should we do an over, Josh? Should we do the over thing?
You have to.
All right, look at David Chase. Can't wait for his inaugural.
No, I did it. I did 2 weeks ago.
Oh, you did. You were on that. You're on to the end. All right, guys. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate these comments coming on in the end. This episode is available on podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Appreciate all the support, everybody. And we'll be back tomorrow night, Fanatics Collect Weekly, and Monday night from the front row. It's going to be a fun show. Check it out, guys. I implore you, but come back to the channel Monday night. Dan Bliss is coming on, bring on a guest vendor talking about, we're going to play some games. It's going to be fun. Monday night is that. And Thursday night, Fanatics Collect Premier Auction live from Fanatics Studio in New York City is where myself and Adam will be streaming from for the first time. We'll be on the road in New York City doing the show. Here on March the 14th, 2026, this episode of Sports Cards Live is now
over.
Great effort, everybody. Thank you to everyone, and have you guys wait there. Everyone else, thank you so much, and have a great evening.
Thanks for tuning in and being a part of the Sports Cards Live community. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and most of all, keep collecting. More great content to come. Sports Cards is a lifestyle.